everybody.
Hello.
We're back. We're Chance Encounters. This is Blue Rose, another tale from Miniry Village. My name is Thomas. I'm the narrative for this evening, and here are my amazing players. Say hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
We are sadly down one Katie tonight, which means the part of Val will be played by me and unconsciousness primarily. But let's dive right in. Last time, to recap,
God.
very simply put, the party were making their way to Birdress compound to deal with some negotiations that are going to be very tough. They encountered an ogre, which tried to eat Micah. Micah created an earthquake, and the earthquake demolished everything, the player characters included. And they all, unfortunately, got wiped out. But thanks to the power of conviction, they all survived. So we're going to jump right in and see how
How?
that is possible.
Ooh, how?
We don't know either, guys. Just saying.
So, just winding back a tiny little bit. As this ogre is attempting to devour Micah alive, she's got her brand new armor on that was freshly made for her as the captain of the City Watch. Now with some ogre-sized tooth marks decorating the outer carapace, you instinctually try to save yourself by using your stone shaping to create an earthquake localized in this area. Unfortunately, the earthquake you created was so powerful that it collapsed the sort of small canyon that you were in and buried the ogre, yourself, and all of your allies alive in falling stone and rubble. Blew the wooden spirits that you conjured, leapt to your defense and tried to keep you safe from harm. However, nothing could really stop the barrage of stone that was burying you. And you're all knocked into unconsciousness. You are no longer aware of anything in this world.
Stop, I don't think my thing's on. I'm so sorry.
Are we good?
You keep going. I just messed up.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, during this extremely quiet time, you have no real idea of the time that's moving by, the level of life you currently possess. But Rami, as you're kind of drifting in this thoughtless, formless, inky abyss, suddenly there are shapes and sounds that start to enter whatever goes for your mind in this place. You start to see flashes of your life. You see the sort of destitute cities of Kern, where you grew up. You hear the pounding of the hammers from the workers who have to work there throughout the day and night. And you see Bates, who came to sort of rescue you from this life and take you far away to Aldous to raise you and teach you in the arts of subterfuge and deception. And you see Isolde, who is, like you, she was somebody who was brought into the fold to be one of Caroline's agents. And you see Isolde before you, about 16 years old. This is about the time where you last saw her, and you are at the sort of fancy soiree, the event that both you and her went to for your first real mission without any kind of safety net in place. You are there to extract information. You're trying to worm your way into all the nobility, trying to get something. It doesn't really matter what at this stage. All you really remember from that night is that Isolde was discovered, and she was captured, and she was caught, and she was taken away. And you see her form standing before you, just this 16-year-old girl, looking at you with those eyes that are begging for help. The eyes that you, on the day, ignored because you were a professional and you knew that the mission came first, and that if Isolde was captured, it means that she was not good enough. And she speaks up, this form before you, and she says, "So, Aya, this is where it ends."
Eventually. I always figured I'd get replaced too.
After everything you and I have said and done, it's almost funny that this is its culmination. I always imagined you would be outed, caught. You never really stood up when it came to the physical trials of our profession.
If I needed to use my sword, that meant I was doing my job wrong.
And that's why you were always better than me, as much as I hated to admit it.
You knew things I didn't, though. You talked about how we would be free when we could go on our own and see things and see the world, and I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't understand until now, and you knew so much more.
Maybe. But what did it get me in the end?
What did it get me?
I always wondered, why did you follow Caroline?
She saved me. There was no... Why wouldn't I? She has this vision, this plan. It's something I can help with, something I can make better. There's nothing else I can do. This is the only place where I matter.
You poor thing. And she kind of like goes over to hug you.
Normally when I dream about you with children, it's still peaceful. It's not been peaceful ever since you failed.
She sort of leans back and she says, you and I are effectively sisters, and you know that on that day it was a moment that changed us both forever. Do you have any regrets?
Of course. I couldn't have done it differently. I had to do what I did. I had to choose Caroline. There was no other option, but maybe I should have been more forceful. I should have taken the lead. I shouldn't have let you go on your own. I just wanted to. You seemed so confident, and I wanted to believe in that. I wanted it to be. I didn't want to grow up sooner than I had to. I regret that. I regret letting us become sisters because it's the biggest hurt that's ever happened to me. I regret lying to so many people over and over and over because I don't know anything about who I am anymore. My name is never said. It's always Fiona. It's always Rami. It's always Duckling. No one ever says my name. Sometimes I forget it.
It's because you've tried to forget yourself, Aya. And then suddenly, in this formless darkness around you, you can see that a reflective surface appears, and you see yourself. You see Rami. You see your dark skin, your bright eyes, and your bright hair, the face that you were not born with, and these gaudy clothes, this shell that you have encased yourself in.
I hate seeing that face!
And every time you try to look away, try to shield your eyes, you see just another reflected form of yourself, as though there are mirrors on the inside of your eyelids. There is nothing you can do to escape it in this place.
It's fine. I just need to take it away. I just package everything I'm feeling and put it somewhere else. That's the only thing I know how to do. Something I am good at.
And as you focus trying to compartmentalize this part of yourself, or all the parts of yourself, the many selves you have tried to exist at during your lifetime, there's a slow, calm peace that overcomes you, and the reflections slowly fade, and you see that Isolde's also seems to disappear, and all that's left is those eyes, those begging, pleading eyes, and those two start to fade into complete dark blackness. Micah, you are likewise thrust into a place where there is no time, there is no meaning, there is nothing to worry about, nothing to fear, but also nothing to attach yourself to. And you get no real grasp of what you're experiencing, but you slowly start to feel moments from your life. You feel the hard stone underneath your feet as you hear the pitter-patter of you and your brother running through the halls of the old kingdom that you left behind before your family went once again to found a new one, as is your people's way. And you feel the gentle comfort that comes from all of that stone surrounding you, being on top of you, keeping you safe, making you feel like you are grounded. And you see the very first time where you stepped into the light of the day, where you saw a blue sky for the very first time, where you saw clouds and you saw trees and felt wind, and you heard the sounds of birds and other creatures, the entire world teeming with life, just above the place you had always existed, above the life you had always known. And your mind flashes to a moment that you recall, the first time you stumbled down the mountain and attempted to steal anything of interest from Sarik, who at the time you had no idea who he was, but he and his people were setting up tents. They were doing something to the mountain, and in your experience, these people had never been anything good, and for all you knew, they were the most evil sorcerers that you could imagine. And that's a day where you made your first friend on the surface. After a bit of back and forth, there were drinks, there was camaraderie, there was understanding and discussions of stone shaping. And from those days forwards, you weren't as afraid. There was still plenty to be afraid of in this world, so many unknowns that you had to unearth. But you went back to the kingdom with your findings, and you talked to your parents about all the things you found, let them know that the way, as far as you could tell, was somewhat safe. And then you flash forward to a time when you and your parents were standing outside under the night sky, because it was a little bit easier for you to handle, and you were meeting with Esmira, who is a woman you had not met before, but you knew that she had some kind of importance to this place. And she was flanked by Lael, her assistant, as well. And they both seemed very calm and collected, and you're not sure how much you trusted that at the time. But Esmira spoke with a calmness and a confidence that seemed to mollify your parents at the very least. And during that time, you were utterly silent, being the very devoted daughter that you were meant to be. And of course, when you were asked of what was needed, you were quick to respond as well. But then something strange happened. A curveball was thrown when your father mentioned something. You don't even remember where the conversation went at the time, but your father mentioned that we have plenty of things keeping us safe. My own daughter has the incredible strength of our people, and I am sure she will match or beat any that come our way. And Esmira says, that is actually something I wanted to discuss. We, out here in Miniry, represent the kingdom of the Blue Rose, yet we are so far from the laws that they keep. And this is the beginning of something that could potentially go somewhere big. And I want to be upfront from the start that we should all be included in what happens here in this village and during this project and everything that happens going forward. I think it would be very prudent if we had somebody of your people who stayed with us and took on an important role in the village to help demonstrate the solidarity that we can both achieve? And your father kind of looks a bit quizzical, and he says, what exactly did you have in mind? And Esmira explains that the captain of their guard was recently tragically killed in a bandit raid. And given that your father was boosting you up, as it were, Esmira suggests that you can be a replacement and a part of the Miniry Council with say in everything that goes on and a representative of your people. And when you first hear that, how does Micah respond?
Definitely more like a. I'm sorry, what?
You kind of look to your parents as well instinctively of just like, how am I meant to react to this? And you can see that they both are very still, very quiet. They are clearly calculating something. They are taking this offer quite seriously. And they look at you, and they look at your brother as well. And your father says, my son will be leading our people after me. Micah, how do you feel about this arrangement?
I mean, if it's good for our people, then I'll do whatever it takes.
You can see that your mother, off of the corner of your eyes, is smiling, clearly proud that you are thinking of your entire people. And your mother sort of steps in and says, it will be somewhat probationary, but Micah, if you believe that you can do this, then you will have our support. We would be very interested to see everything that you're getting up to. And we have some serious plans about the future of our people and this location, so we accept. And when she says that, everything seems to fade away for you, Micah. And you are left kind of dangling, drifting. You find yourselves amongst the buildings of Miniry. You don't know what day it is. You don't know where you're meant to be right now. Your mind is a bit fuzzy, but you're just kind of wandering through the streets. And your brother is with you, which is strange because he's never actually been to Miniry before. And he is just walking by your side. Are you saying anything at this time, or are you both just walking?
I'll probably definitely ask, like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You have a whole town to run. Get out of here. I got this.
He smiles at you and he says, are you okay with being here?
I don't. I'm okay, I think. I always get the feeling that I'm not supposed to be here, but I think I'm strong enough to carve my own place, if that makes sense.
He sort of smiles gently at you and he says, if you had the option, would you prefer to be home? Away from these people and their troubles and staying underground where the light doesn't touch us and we're free from all of their problems?
Sometimes I wish I could go back, but after seeing everything else, I don't think I can at this point. Maybe if I never went to the surface at all, and maybe if they never came here in the first place, we would live underground our whole lives, and I would be happy there. But after coming up here, I don't think I can go back. You know?
He sort of nods his head slowly and he says, it will be really hard to deal with the fact that you died somewhere that wasn't under the mountain. Then he kind of cocks his head a bit and says, but at least you were underground.
Wait, what?
And then Miniry kind of fades away, as does your brother, leaving you with a terrible sibling joke as you plummet into the abyss and your mind starts to go hazy. Blue, you are different from everybody here. Yours is not a dark void, it is not a place of fear and trepidation. It is a wide open sky brimming with possibility. It is a beautiful series of clouds, and a sunset is painting the sky with colors of pink and orange, and it feels utterly peaceful, like you are going home. I don't know how far Blue has ever tried to fly vertically upwards at once before, but there is no fatigue in your wings. There's no chill that's getting to you. There are no winds that are throwing you off course. It is utterly serene and calm and beautiful. But you also feel the moments of your life flashing before you. The first time you awakened, when you and Tessic first met up and became fast friends, your wanderings through the Weald and your meeting of people and animals alike. You remember your great excursion to the Sky Galloper Shrine, the horrors of what happened there, and your swift informing of those transgressions. And you find yourself flying and fluttering down into a beautiful open glade where there is water streaming in these crystal clear tributaries, and you've seen a lot of beautiful places in the Weald. This place is like it has been touched by the very beginning of spring. Every plant there is blooming and open, and there is a beautiful fragrance in the air, and there is that sense of serenity that follows you everywhere you go. Every single blade of grass perfectly dancing in unison. And you see that in this place, there is a majestic unicorn. Kind of has grayish hair, a big horn on its head, and it's looking at you. And you remember, this is the very first time you met Rutheria in person, your sort of unicorn patron, as it were. And she says to you, Blue, you have been instrumental in helping us understand and respond to the horrible events at the Sky Galloper Shrine. I just wanted to once again thank you for your bravery and say how sorry I am that you had to go through any of that.
Thank you. I just wish things were different, but I'm happy that I could help, I suppose.
Of course. I have a very serious question for you, and I want you to answer me as truthfully as you can, even if it's not necessarily with certainty.
Of course.
Do you think you're still capable of trusting Two Legs?
In all honesty, I'm not sure. There's Ix and people who have shown
You've
themselves.
not met Ix at this
I've
point.
not met
sorry.
Ix. Okay, no, okay, never mind. Still, I'm not sure if I ever could.
Rutheria kind of like bows her head down and says, I understand. There is a very important task that I have for you, Blue. You have always shown immense curiosity. It is one of your noblest traits. And there is change coming on the wind. The people who, shall we say, who possess the authority of the kingdom far, far, far to the south of us, they, as we know, are slowly expanding, and they are going to be further in the Weald than they've ever been, in a place of defiant civilization. This is not a tide that can be stopped. It is one that can be fought against, but it is not one that we want to fight against. Change is coming, and our choice is to either change with it, as we do with the seasons, or try and stand against it. I want you to act as an ambassador for the Raiden in this place. I want you to see how they do things. I want you to be a voice for the Raiden and the Weald, and for every creature living in it, as best you can. I know that's a tremendous burden, and it's hard for a lone voice to speak for so many, but this is a immensely important task, and I think you are the best person suited for it.
I would never question your wisdom, but I'm not sure if that would be me. So would I be living with the two legs?
In your life, you have seen the best and the worst that these people have to offer. That gives you a very unique perspective, one that I would value greatly to hear from again and again. Yes, you would have to live among these people. You do not have to do this alone, of course. I will always be a brief thought away, and you can, of course, bring Tessic to help you. And Tessic, who is standing next to you at the time, kind of looks up and goes, "What? Hey, Blue, I think this unicorn's gone a bit doolal. It's talking to me."
Don't be rude, but,
Sorry.
No, it's fine. There's a lot going on, obviously.
Sorry, Your Majesty.
Yes, I'm sorry. This is just a lot. So, are you sure about this? After what just happened, and trusting them, letting them encroach upon the Weald, is that what we want to do?
The Rutheria says to you, "It is not a popular choice that I am making here, but ultimately we need to serve all creations in life, even the two legs. And though it is unfortunate the terror and pain they can bring, that is not all they are good for. And I would hope that with your guiding hand, you would help them understand the sanctity of this place and the importance of keeping everything and everyone here safe." And Tessic says, "Do they have like flying beasts and scary helmets? Because if they do, I'm out. I think we're good."
Could we meet them first? Have time to decide on this?
Rutheria says, "Of course, I would expect nothing less." And your show of prudence just convinces me even more that you are right for this.
I looked over to Tessic just because this is a lot, and I would like for you to come with me, but you don't necessarily have to. I know the shrine was a lot, and I wouldn't want to put you in a position where you were uncomfortable.
Tessic says, "Yeah, it was really bad, Blue. It was really, really bad. But we've met other two legs before, and they were really nice. Most other Raiden don't even try talking to them, but they always treated us with respect, for the most part."
A fair amount of petting aside, but
Hey,
Yeah.
I don't want to do something you're uncomfortable with. You're my best friend, Blue, and I feel bad that I wasn't able to really keep you safe. If I'm honest, maybe this can be an opportunity for me to make that up to you.
Like a bodyguard?
Yes, a unicorn-sanctioned bodyguard. Doesn't that sound
Oh.
impressive?
Gosh.
Little old Tessic, rising up.
Yeah, actually, that sounds pretty cool. Pretty fitting title.
And hey, if it gets really bad, we'll just run. They're really bad at running, right?
Not to mention the whole, like, can't fly thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I slow down for you, of course.
Appreciate it.
No problem. I think, yeah, we're willing to meet them, and I think we're both okay with trying this. If we can help make things better and try and stop anything from, like, the shrine happening again, I think we both want to be a part of that.
And Tessic stands in front of you briefly and says, "But the second we see red glowing eyes, we're gone. We're leaving. That's too much. That's too much."
I'm gonna pop onto his head and say what he said. Red glowing eyes. I'm sorry, we can't.
Beautiful. And yeah, that's when the entire moment, the beautiful glade fades away for you as well. The fragrances just slowly disappearing until there's nothing there at all. And you're kind of left there, still on Tessic's head. And you feel that your body is kind of getting a bit more weightless. And you see the open sky once again. And somehow Tessic is there as well. Your mind doesn't quite have the ability to comprehend. Is he flying through the air right now? But he does turn to you and he says, "Blue, did we make the right choice?"
Coming to Miniry, you mean?
All of it, I guess.
I'm not sure. I feel like we've made a difference, at least.
You're right. Well, that's something at least. That's a something to hold on to.
We've helped people in Red and alike, made friendships. You've had your fair share of naps.
Yeah. I always imagined it going much worse than it did.
It could have been a lot worse.
I'm gonna miss you, Blue. And that's when you flutter up into the sky that just turns slowly and slowly more and more white until there's nothing that you can really comprehend anymore. Val also has an experience similar to this, but since Kate isn't here, we'll just gloss over it for now. There is a sense, the only real sense that any of you have left at this point is one of a gentle movement, as though you are lying on a massive river and it is slowly, gently taking you somewhere. And it is a feeling that it's like you're sort of in a trance-like state at the moment. There's no real cognizance. It's just this gentle, calm, serene feeling. And then there is a very sudden and forceful tug, a crashing wave, as it were, that suddenly shatters this feeling of serenity and starts making you hurtle. It is as though whatever orientation you felt yourself at has suddenly just been flipped on its side, and you are now falling towards something. It is pulling you, clawing at your very essence, and dragging you away from the place where you are intended to go. And you can feel yourself hurtling, and there is fear, and there is no real explanation as what is left of your mind tries to comprehend what is happening to it. You just feel this sense of foreboding terror and this sense of a force clutching around whatever is left of you and just pulling you away somewhere where you do not want to go. But at the last second, there is a sudden, as though a bubble just popped. And in those moments, your eyes flutter open. You are all soaking wet. You are covered in wounds. The events of what just happened slowly return to you. You find yourself in a, I would say ruin, except for the fact there is nothing ruined here. There is architecture, geometric, lots of triangles and quadrilaterals and shapes that mathematically are symmetrical and beautiful, that make up the foundation of this shaped stone that you find yourself in. There are columns. There is a massive circular area that is filled with water, and in fact the entire area is filled with water. Looking around, you can see that there is moss and vines hanging from everything. You can see that there are parts of natural walls excuse me, part of natural stone walls and cliffs. You can see that there are bits of broken fragments everywhere. Destroyed rock, splintered wood. Everything is, it looks like this place was just hit by a hurricane. And as you kind of like slowly lurch upwards, the water kind of dripping from you a little bit, you see that above you there is a night sky, and it extends kind of in a dome around you. And you've seen a similar effect like this before. When you went to Noroth, you were inside a cave where there was a sort of simulation of the sky, and that exists here as well. And that's what you awaken to. You all gain 1 hit point.
That's
Yay!
good.
We are
That's
all
good.
at one.
I'm really glad that emotional trauma leads to 1 hit point.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ow. Okay.
Looking around, do we see each other?
You do, yes. You're all splayed about, rather inelegantly about this place. Some of you are kind of like submerged in this circle of water. The rest of you are kind of just stuck in the flooded waters that kind of sit above the stone. Some of you are kind of slumped over these sort of knee-high walls that are covered with beautiful patterns. You see Val. She is unconscious right now. But there's also just a lot of debris everywhere, just kind of gently floating in this place.
Make sure she's not drowning. Like,
You quickly go over to Val. You can see that she's sort of got her mouth up to the sky, and she is up out of the water, so she seems okay, breathing slowly and shallow.
that's good. I'm glad Val's not dying. That's good. Everyone okay? Just.
Yep. I think so.
Blue?
Blue tries to stand, and I think like bodily assessment at first.
Yeah, you stand up, and for you, Blue, unfortunately, the waters that flood this place go quite high up on you, so you probably have to just kind of like gently float up and down in these waters. You kind of spread your wings, and you immediately notice there is a nasty splinter sticking out of your left wing. And you didn't really notice it at first, and it's annoying because it's kind of the second you look at it, the pain starts to register, and it is quite painful.
I've been better, definitely. How about you?
I feel bad.
Fair.
See, are you okay? I feel like you. Do you want Micah Roy to pick you up so you're not just bobbing along in the water?
I get thanks, I suppose. If you could gently just pull, and he'll like spread his wing and observe. Yeah.
Just like gently
Oh,
pick you up. And
yep.
just, like put you on my shoulder.
Could you take out the splinter though?
Oh god, I'm not Val. I might make it worse.
Is it like a worse type of thing? Can it get worse? Is it like, or is it
Either
just
of you
like a
can make
splinter?
a healing test to determine if
Yeah.
this could get much worse.
What's healing?
Intelligence.
Cool.
You're probably better at that than me. I have a 0 in intelligence. Like I'm average.
If you're self-assessing
11.
Blue, it's a -2.
Yeah. So that'll be a 9.
Oh.
Okay. You look at it. It looks like a big, nasty splinter, as far as you can see. It seems to have missed any. It hasn't broken any of your bones or anything, but it is quite badly in there. There are some crooked feathers, and a bit of wet blood there as well. It is hard for you to really determine if it's going to get much better or worse, but it certainly feels bad to be inside you right now.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we should just leave it alone.
I think that's for the best. Normally, if you're not very skilled in something, you can do a very botched job when you try. Okay. Where the fuck are we?
That's a good question. Do I recognize anything, or is there something in legend or anything like that?
You can make anybody can make a cultural lore or history test.
Cultural lore.
Oh,
The test number for cultural lore is going to be much higher, unfortunately, but
You know what? That's fine. I just think it's funny because I didn't think I would use this a lot.
I'm only mentioning it because I'm like, this could probably work. Why not?
I rolled a 14 on
14?
historical lore.
Okay.
I don't know anything. I rolled a 9.
Cool. I don't know how many
Micah-
minuses we have because we are just coming back to life.
If you had any fatigue from before, that is still going through, but you haven't gained any.
I don't think I had any fatigue. No.
I think I'm okay, right? Because I rested after the headache.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
So unless you did some magic and fatigue loss
None
in the
of my
very
magic
last thing.
Fatigues,
you
except
should
for, when I... unwilling magic that I did.
So Micah, you start getting up and looking around, and it is hard to impress you with stonework, but this impresses you.
Sorry, go.
It's very it's very sort of just perfectly mathematical, everything that you're seeing. The symmetry and the way the geometry all just perfectly melds itself into itself is fine. And I think your people have even done decoration like this. You probably have murals kind of experimenting with mathematical principles and shapes and everything, but you've never seen it done so well in 3D. There are columns that are just shifting cubes that go round and round and round, and it is both beautiful and yet structurally stable at the same time, as far as you can tell. Which is something that a lot of people get wrong, and you've seen firsthand sometimes. But I think there is a brief flash of recognition of what this could be. Probably just from some books you borrowed from Ricard at some point, or from actually, you know what? You would have read about this in a book that Sarik had, and it was a book of lost Vatazini architecture. So the precursor to the Vata'an and Vatashah, who have been effectively extinct for centuries.
Wow, this stuff's old.
And it also strikes you that if a dead people made this long ago, it is in perfect condition. Aside from the flooding and the debris floating everywhere, the actual stonework itself, it's just glossy and beautiful, and there's not a chip or a crack in any of it anywhere. It is unthinkable that it survived this well preserved this long.
So
in real life, I'm like, oh my god. In character, I'm also like, oh my god.
Could I tell if we were still in the Weald?
You can make a natural lore test if you would like.
Cool beans.
And right now, it's a sort of quite cold because you're all drenched in water that's not necessarily warm at all. So you're starting to shiver maybe a tiny bit, but you also just hear the gentle sound of waterfalls nearby around. And you can see that in some of the cliffs that sort of surround this place, there are just big jettisons of water that just kind of feed into what appears to be the flooding of this area. So Blue, with your natural lore, you look at the sort of similar night sky that you saw at Noroth, and you see kind of like reflections of, you see like a branch float by, and you look at the leaves and go, oh yeah, those leaves are native to the wheel. So you believe you are still in the wheel. You're not sure if you're underground or have somehow been taken to a place far away. It's hard for you to really determine. Well, you do know
Is there
that
an ogre nearby? Just like
Yeah, is there a dead body of an ogre?
there is a kind of slumped next to one of these pillars is a big form of the ogre, breathing slowly, big belly, just. But they are unconscious.
That's not good.
And then you hear a sort of screech in all your minds.
Ow.
And it happens again.
Ow. Ow.
And it kind of keeps happening. You slowly get surprisingly used to it fairly quickly, but it is by no means something that should be happening to you right now. You have a sensation of leaving your body. As though you can just suddenly see yourselves. And then it's a sensation of seeing each other from each other's perspectives. Mikey, you're suddenly seeing things through Blue's eyes, then through Rami's, and you're all just kind of like shifting around. You see the sort of dark nothingness of Val or the ogre, maybe. And your perspective on things is just darting around. And suddenly it extends beyond the present. It starts to dive back into your history as well. Suddenly,
No.
there are parts of you that can see flashes from each of your time leading up to Miniry. There's a moment where you see, you assume Rami, who is just like walking and talking very fancily, but her accent is a bit odd. You see Blue flying through the wheel and like meeting with some of the forest folk there and like being gently and kindly welcomed in. You see Micah training with her brother in this sort of fighting pit that her family has. And weirdly, the memories bounce to people who were there. Suddenly you're seeing through Micah's brother's Emmett's eyes, and you're like, how do I know that name? And you're suddenly seeing Micah and him fighting with sticks. And then you see a proud father and mother who are standing on a balcony overwatching this entire thing. You see through Tessik's eyes, you see through Isolde's eyes, you see through Bates' eyes. There is some kind of cascading psychic memory net that is being formed between everything that has happened to you, and it is utterly overwhelming, and it is very hard for you to really focus on any one thing for too long. But this is what each of you see that sticks out to you the most. Micah, you are very young. You are with your brother. You are breaking the rules. You are getting away from the Kyanite Kingdom, going through one of its tunnels, one of its more secret passages that only somebody your size could fit through at that age. And you're kind of scrambling and crawling through, and it starts to open up a little bit, and your brother is talking to you about the outside, and you're sort of just chatting about myths that you've heard about it, and he's teasing you for like thinking that the great sky he says the sky is blue, and you think there is absolutely no way a cave roof can be blue unless you put a lot of paint there, and nobody has that much paint, and he's kind of laughing at you for like thinking this way. And you're jovially making your way through this cave until an Ettercap silently descends from the ceiling and strikes at you both. It's kind of this humanoid spider-like creature that is eagerly kind of like snapping at both of you, trying to get a meal. And you're both just kids at this point. You're fighting it off best you can. Your kind of cries and wails echoing through the cave. You all see through Micah's eyes. You feel her terror as she's like trying to get this thing off. You suddenly feel this surge of bravery come from her brother as he tries to smack this creature off of her. You feel the pain in your side as you suddenly become the Ettercap and see the prey before you, and all you can think about is how hungry you are. And then you taste Micah's blood as this thing bites into her arm, and you remember that she has a massive scar there, and this is how it manifested. And this suddenly goes past in fast motion for you. You flash forward to watching these two siblings running, fleeing for their lives. Micah being kind of dragged by her brother. Then he quickly runs out of breath, and she has to like drag him as well, even with her wound. And then there's another flash forward. Micah, you are being seen to by one of your people's healers. They are sort of bandaging you up. Your brother has not left your side, making sure that you are okay. Kind of feeling a bit of an adrenaline crash at the moment. He's just like, it was so big. We lived. And what were you saying in that moment?
Mom and Dad are gonna be so angry at us.
And at this moment, you can see that Micah's parents come in, and you flash forward a number of times into the future of them just expressing concern. And then there's this dark anger that appears on Micah's father's face. And then suddenly you follow him and his perspective, just jumping forward through these tunnels. And you see that he is confronting somebody. Micah, you barely recognize this person. They were just a member of your household, some guard or some such, and your father is rebuking this person and grabbing him and like yelling at him and saying that the children were his responsibility and that he failed. And this guard is kind of like thrown against the wall, reeling, desperately trying to defend themselves, not understanding what's happening. And your father, it's kind of a blur, because you all feel the anger in this moment, the hatred of this person putting your only kids at such risk, such an unforgivable trespass. And then there's just a word that just like expels from all of your mouths at once, which is exile. And
shit.
This guard looks utterly distraught, and you feel instinctively how painful this sentence is. It's almost better to execute somebody, because you have an understanding in this moment of Micah's culture and the importance of their ancestry and bringing kind of like holding the torch of their culture and bringing it and constantly like keeping it alive. And to be expelled from that, to be severed from that, is worse than death. And that's kind of the last you see of that until suddenly you are in the mind of this guard. When they are going out into the sunlight for the very first time, the radiance in their eyes is excruciating, and they like grab into the eyes, they are watering, and you all just in unison feel that exact same pain. And it's the physical pain of the light, it is the emotional pain of just being severed from your life, your family, from everything. And then flashing forward again, jumping, struggling to survive in the Icebinder Mountains, making meager fires, catching small rodents and eating them for meals. And then you see something made of smoke, and it is gently wrapping itself around you, this person. It's indistinguishable at this point, as they sit around a fire, and this thing rises up above them, and it speaks in your mind, and it says, "I know what you feel. You need to feed that desire. You will never feel peace otherwise. Give in." And you know that whatever this is, it fills you with utter fear and terror. You know that this is the thing that decimated your people. No, not your people. Not anymore. They took that from you. That ancestry, that culture. Your entire generations of your ancestry have just been severed for a mistake you didn't even make. And in that moment of just justifying this, the smoke flies into your mouth, into your nose, into your eyes, and it takes over your body. And then flashing forward again and again and again, faster and faster now, you see this person is standing by these clans of these sort of rough-looking mountain folk, and they are saying things that you don't quite catch the specifics of, but these people are listening. And you stand proudly above these people, and you retreat into a cave. You start doing experiments. You start to order some of your people to start mining. You start creating something, binding it with powers you don't fully understand, dispersing this to other people that you that have fealty to you, and you are thrilled because you know your vengeance is sooner at hand with every action you take. And then the link is severed. You flash again, swirling throughout the past of all of you. You quickly lose a sense of self in this moment. You are just lost in a stormy sea, utterly unable to control where you're going or what you're doing. You see Val standing in a swampy land. She looks tired. She looks the most tired you've ever seen her. Her hair is much shorter, wearing it completely different. She's wearing clothes of a style you've never really seen before. And she is desperately trying to help somebody, another woman who is struggling with a birth at the moment. And you don't know how you got to this horrible swampy place or why it's happening, but you flash forward. The child is crying loudly. It is a complete mess. You're doing your absolute best to try and keep it clean, but you are strapped for resources right now. And you see the eyes of Hannah cradled in Val's arms, and she makes a promise to this person before her life is slowly extinguished. And then you see, flashing forward again and again and again, it is like you are being hurtled across all this. Val is moving with this child as best she can, trying to keep low, trying to hide. You don't entirely comprehend from what, but you know that she is afraid and paranoid. And she keeps moving. She keeps going. Every time she kind of like settles in one area for too long, suddenly you find yourself in another area, new people surrounding her. And then this child, this baby, is growing very rapidly before your eyes. With every flash, it gains, height, and your love for it grows as well. And you feel such an attachment to this, your daughter, completely your daughter. No matter what happened, Hannah is your daughter. And there is a fear there of what they're going to do to her if they find her. And you keep flashing forward. Again, you find yourself in the familiar area of Miniry, but it's different than you remember. It's much earlier. There are few buildings. The touch of a Feldo has not been felt yet. Many things are still kind of crumbling. It's quite humble. And Val is at the Blooming Bud Tavern, and she is kind of like asking for a map from the owner at the time, somebody you don't even recognize, and they lay out a map, and you can see Val is desperately trying to figure out where to go next, how to continue getting away from Jarzon, further west, further north, away, away, away. And you can see the familiar face and smile of Wager as she kind of just like leans in casually and asks Val where she's trying to go. And there's an exchange. You don't fully hear or comprehend the words. Wager suggests a ship would be quickest, and Val asks, who can I talk to about this? And then you hear the sound of somebody making a commotion in the tavern, and they're saying things like, miracle cure, the last thing you'll ever need, can enhance whatever you desire. And Val turns around, utterly unable to resist standing up to this person. You feel a tug on your arm as Hannah looks up to you with those big eyes, and she says, I thought we shouldn't... Mom, I thought we weren't allowed to get into trouble like this. And Val says, this'll just be a moment. And she storms over to this person who is a snake oil salesman. He is completely ripping these people off, selling fake cures. He's very charismatic, but he is clearly taking advantage of these people who don't realize they're being taken advantage of. Val, as a practiced healer, as you are a practiced healer, you remember all those nights that you had to serve with your fellow sisters in Jarzon, and you know that this guy is doing nothing helpful for these people, taking their money and sometimes even making them worse off. And you storm over to him, and you gently, at first, refute every single one of these cures until the townspeople start to gather around you, like, who is this person? What, how do you know all this? And you gently explain, try not to explain too much about your past, that, well, I know about these things. I have some history with this kind of stuff. And the snake oil salesman, you flash forward again, he has run out of town. the many kind of families and people he left broken suddenly flock to you, and you find yourself suddenly overwhelmed with all these people who are just asking you for things, and you realize, oh, I didn't want to get this deep in it. I just wanted to stand up to this person who was taking advantage of you. And then you were offered a night of rest. You find yourself being set up in the temple, and before you know it, you are instrumental to these people's well-being, and you don't know how you could possibly keep going after all that you've done. And then there's another flash. You are hurtling into the eyes and mind of the snake oil salesman, and you see him scrambling, running. You feel just the disdain that he feels in his heart, just the annoyance that he has at this red-headed woman who comes into town, thinks you can just stomp all over everything you work so hard to build up, and you stumble into the mountains. You suddenly find yourself threatened by these people who want to take everything you have. Joke's on them, you don't have anything, but you do have a clever tongue, and that is what you'll use to get out of this situation. You need to make them think you need them, and you tell them all the things that you can do. You make it a big sales pitch, and you know what? They eat it up. These pathetic fools, they don't know, they can't even figure out a showboater when they see one. And suddenly you are part of whatever they are, their clan. They expect things from you, and they are rugged and they are dirty, and you do not think this life suits you at all, but what choice do you have? You fear you can't really leave at this point. And then you make a friend. You realize not all these people are monsters. A lot of them are just trying to survive. A lot of them are just don't know any other life. And then you feel the horrible pain and fear the day that your friend is executed before you by the leader of these people. The only thing that comes across your mind is conqueror. And when they look at you, there is a malice and a power there that is inhuman. And it shakes you to your core, and you wish for any kind of miracle that can save you from this place. You feel immense regret. You wish you could go back to that sleepy town and just start a farm, but you know if you leave now like this, you will end up just like your friend, and your head will end up rolling down that mountainside. Then you flash again. You see Blue's life. You see that there is a confrontation. There is a confrontation with Vethra. And you see it from Vethra's perspective. She is feeling such hatred, and she doesn't understand why you don't understand Blue, and you keep saying these things to her. And then you flash back further into Vethra's past. You can see the pain and the guilt that she feels having led the Kernish raiders to the Skygartha shrine. You can see that she struggles with herself so much, and it's coupled with survivor's guilt, and she just doesn't know what to do, so she wanders. She wanders and wanders and wanders. And then she stumbles across something, some kind of smoke, some kind of power, and it is drawn to her, and she tries to outrun it, but there is something that confronts her, that tells her they need to pay. All of them. And she doesn't disagree. And in that moment, the smoke enters her body, and she fights against it, but soon you realize she has completely forgotten this encounter even happened, and she comes across the Raiden hunter, and there is a burning fury that is extending throughout her, and she knows that you have the power to stop this, and that you can do something about this, and that you will finally bring justice. And then, Blue, once again, you find yourself back at that place where Blue is talking to you, and you realize you don't know if you can fully agree with him, but looking at everything that's happened, you don't want to be the one who spreads more pain. And in that moment, something severs from your spirit, and this smoke-like entity is disrupted. And you'd have no idea. You didn't even realize this was in you at the time. You just felt like you were more serene. You felt like Blue just got to you. He really got to you. But you feel okay. And then you follow this spirit. You are boiling with rage and fury and you reach back to find and understand the source, and there is none. It is something inherent to you. And you know that there is a sacred duty that you need to ensure, that the traitors refuse to keep giving themselves for. That's why you left, after all. And you go out searching in this world because you know you cannot survive long like this outside of that place. You need to find something to anchor your spirit to you, or you're going straight back to the shadow. And if you go back to the shadow like this, you will be obliterated. And you suddenly, like a beautiful, wonderful smell, the greatest smell you've ever smelled, you realize there is someone who you can return to, somebody who you left behind because you thought your work was done. But at this point, the riding didn't work out too well. So you return, you go back to Burdreth, and you confront him, and he looks at you. He's got dark circles under his eyes. He looks like he has just been having the weight of the world crushing him for so long, and he sees you and he acknowledges you. Then you jump into Burdreth's perspective and you see this thing, and you don't entirely know how to feel. There's a strange part of you that feels a little bit happy because you're not going to be abandoned again. But you know, ever since this thing left, things just haven't been as easy in a good way. You haven't succumbed to your impulses as easily. You've actually been able to think more clearly. You realize the people you're surrounding yourself with, the things that you're doing every day, you just wanted justice for your family. Is this justice? Is this really justice? But there is that sense of this thing that just rails on your psyche, and it doesn't give you much of a choice. And it says, "You accepted me once. You will do so again. There is a task you must perform and you cannot stop. Now submit." And just like that, this thing once again has enveloped you, and you are once again the Avenger. And finally, the last thing you see in this tangled web of all these experiences, all these emotions that it's too hard for you to even comprehend most of the time, you find yourself leaping to the eyes of a father who is trying to comfort a very heavily pregnant mother. And you recognize the fiery eyes of Rami in this woman's face. And this man, you are trying to comfort your wife. You know that it can be hard in a place like this, in a place like Kern, where well-being is not necessarily favored. And she is really soldiering on. She is trying her best. And then you suddenly feel you leaping into her, and you feel this life inside of you, and you know that you will do anything to protect this life. And then you feel just a lot of nothing, but just a gentle, consistent heartbeat. And then you see that you are looking at this woman, this pregnant woman, through a mirror. And you see yourself in it. You are very proud. You are very strong. And you know that nobody has ever come close to questioning your power, but this one who is about to be born, you can see a potential in her that is going to dethrone you. You are meant to be the grandest divinator in the land. If that is taken from you, you fear that everyone will turn on you, and the politics in Kern right now are not in your favor. You have to do everything you can to put a lid on this. And you have somebody nearby who says, "Shall we deal with her, mistress?" And you say, "There is a potential to use this one. We will not kill her, but we will not leave her unmarked. Follow me." And you find yourself jumping again, going through these dark hallways. You can see that this place is oppressive, and that the people nearby you are constantly afraid. At least the ones who aren't utter monstrosities, which you often surround yourself with as well. You know they're utterly loyal to you, so you do not fear them, but others do a lot. And you assemble these people. You don't know who they are. You don't care. They are your tools, and their sacrifice will help maintain your reign. Their blood is running into troughs that you use to grab at the soul of this unborn child. And you look at it and you harness your most powerful sorcery and you insert a block on it, something that will hamper her divinatory powers for good, and that will make her feel extreme pain and ensure that she will never, ever live up to the power that you currently control. And if it turns out you do need somebody that powerful, you know how to undo it. And you'll just throw her in jail and force her to tell you the answers if you need to. But that can come at a later time. And suddenly you feel yourself. You are kind of a mixed fabric of souls. And you are just kind of swirling around. Perhaps you are contemplating everything that you just witnessed. Perhaps you are chasing pleasant thoughts or reliving painful ones in yourselves and each other. But Rami, you can see that in this abstracted view of what you all appear to be in your soul-like forms, there is something dark and spiky and foul, and it is constantly dripping with blood. And you can feel that if you wanted to, you could reach out to this thing.
Yeah?
You clutch at it, and you can feel a dark surge, and you feel pain. You don't really contemplate your head at this moment, but you just feel the foul torture that this thing is capable of. What do you do?
I just like squish it. Can I make it go away?
This thing erupts like you just grabbed a heart and made it explode. Blood splatters everywhere and it quickly evaporates into this foul mist. But suddenly you see just these connections of light form once again. And you all suddenly feel this great surge of power as you are suddenly brought back to your senses. Back in this place, back in the water, after all these incredibly difficult to comprehend revelations.
Can we get out of here? I don't like this place. I have a terrible headache and like 15 visions at once. I think I'm gonna be sick.
Yeah.
Did we all just experience that?
So you did everyone see that?
Nobody saw that last bit there.
But-
Of you breaking that thing. Everything else you all saw.
Was that real? Was all of that real?
You suddenly hear a voice, low and moody. It goes, "Oh, you're awake. Hello."
Oh, fuck this guy.
Great, man, it's great.
You see,
What?
you see the familiar image of this like little hummingbird composed of gentle light, with these kind of fairy wings sticking out the back. And you remember this is the creature known as Hol, Hol, that you met before. That is able to look into the past of things. And he just goes, "Hey, I remember you."
Hey, no hard feelings, right? I'm sorry I flung you really far. It was my bad.
I inhabited your feelings in the moment, and I think I understand. I have no ill will.
Okay, good. Were you the cause of all those crazy visions and things like that?
What? Oh. Well, sometimes this place, helps me see interesting things. And when I saw you all here, I thought, might as well. You're dead anyway. Then some strange stuff happened. I'm not entirely sure what.
Do you know how we got here?
I don't know. Oh, I can look if you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
What more can... Everything's already out in the open, so...
Yeah, that was I usually delve into things pretty intensely. That was pretty wild. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty
Sorry.
sorry.
Glad you enjoyed that.
Sorry for the conniption there. I didn't mean to speak out of turn. It's just I'm very excited right now.
Just do your thing, okay? Just
Okay.
do it.
Yeah.
Hey, this'll work. And it flutters over to you, Blue, towards the splinter in your wing, and starts to do its extremely deep, penetrating delve into the past of this. And you can see that this thing is just kind of going.
Oh, this might take a while again.
Oh, so everything collapsed,
Mm-hmm.
and you all got crushed.
Yes, we aware of that.
I
Okay.
feel that.
And then a bunch of floodwater took you all over the place. And I think you ended up here through. He sort of looks around and points at one of the waterfalls flowing into this place and goes, "Oh, that's where you came from." It got a bit plugged up with the ogre, but I think it came out again.
Yes, okay.
Well then.
S- Why don't... I'm sure there's a
Oh.
lot... Mm,
Oh, I think okay. Thanks for that. Appreciate it.
What?
Sorry. Who are you talking to?
What?
Oh, you. I think with you, I just discovered this place is the Spring of Dreams, or the Spring of Nightmares, depending on who you ask.
I figured that as well. Thank you, though, for the confirmation. If we go that way, will we go out? How do we leave?
Well, I don't know.
Great.
You've been so helpful.
Okay.
You have been a bit helpful. It's good. Okay.
Then you just hear. And then just a big meaty hand slaps onto one of these columns, and rising from the flooded waters, your ogre friend still
Not the
looks
word I would
very
use.
beat up, quite like you as well, not as beat up as the rest of you, and just kind of like rubbing his head, he goes, "Well, that was quite the..." And he sort of sees the rest of you and goes, "Okay, no more Mr. Nice Guy." Just grabs at the pillar and like pulls this massive stone to one side and just boom, slams it in his hand, and he says, "This time I'm not going to let any of you do anything." Splash, splash.
Does this
And
seem like the
just
time?
comes
Push.
at the rest of you. What do you all do?
I push him with magic.
Okay.
Okay.
What is your pushing magic? Oh, your move.
Yeah, the
object.
move. It's probably not, he's so strong, but it's the first thing that came to mind.
Love it. Do it.
That's a 12.
Now,
Yeah.
you'll probably struggle, but let's see.
It's-
Okay, yeah, you got a
Yeah.
21. You extend your telekinetic force, but you are just so exhausted in this moment, and what's more, the second you do that, you feel the pain in your wing from the splinter as well. That it is too much for you to handle, and this thing, boom, boom, comes towards the rest of you, and then next to you, Micah, you just hear this massive splash as a big piece of stone just splashed right next to you, and you see another one, and you realize this place is coming down very soon.
Oh god. I guess I grab the unconscious Val and I just start running out of here.
Okay, you easily pick her up. She's dripping with water, but you got her. The ogre just yells out, "I am so hungry!" and splashes, just crumbles a piece of wall around the rest of you, just sending splinters of it going off. You see actually that the waters in this place that have flooded have slowly gotten a bit higher since you've been here. And it looks like it's time to leave.
Oh, where are we leaving? Is there like an exit?
If you'd like, you can make a searching test with perception.
Is seeing okay?
Sure.
That's only a 10 for me. Anyone else can't see anything? God damn.
And also just make a dexterity test as well to just get away from this ogre who is actively
Yes.
hunting the rest of you.
That's fine. All of this is very fine.
That's a 17 for
Rami.
blue.
Rami got way better. Go for her.
Damn,
I
man.
think I might
Oh, yes.
tie into the divination stuff. Can we tie it into
Yes.
that for what I
Oh,
saw?
by the way, Rami, at this exact moment in time, you can use second sight at will. Unlike everybody else, who can only use second sight either because of an event triggers it or because they wake up in the day. You can use it whenever you want. It does follow the same fatigue rules. However, it does not give you any extra fatigue that you used to get. You are now
Lovely.
free of that curse.
By the way, all right, well, now back into the action.
Excellent. So yeah, Blue, you easily evade this thing because you are quite small. You can just kind of keep hopping away. You find it extremely difficult to fly right now, which is your main method of getting away. So you're struggling to kind of hop. Then you realize you can just kind of like sit on the water and just kind of like wiggle your butt to move quite quickly.
Oh, ducky!
Let's see. Rami, you quickly you are a somewhat deft person. You quickly kind of like dodge out of the way of this ogre who is lumbering. Clearly, they are still quite beaten up from whatever happened. And Micah, you as well. Even with Val on your shoulder, you're just like hopping away. You can feel slight points of discomfort in your armor, and you look down and just realize a lot of it is just dented in, and you just think, oh, you could probably buff that out. But Rami, you just kind of like see an echo, a vision in your mind that leads to a section of wall that looks utterly mundane. You know you can walk through that wall.
There, just go straight through it.
She's pointing at just a craggy cliff.
Trust me on this. I know that you have no reason to after what you've seen, but please.
Okay. Run
Blue
through
hops
that cliff.
along. Someone please pick me up, actually.
You were on my shoulder the whole time. I think I.
Yeah, he
put you
jumped
down.
off accidentally.
Oh, did you? Okay, I pick you
Yeah.
up.
He started panicking. Thank you.
Okay, you start running with Blue on your shoulder. Mikey, you're running with Val on your shoulder, and you're just running splash, splash, splash. At this point, it's getting actually quite hard to trudge through all this water that is just slowly feeding into this place. Your speed is slowed, and the ogre, unfortunately, does not seem as impeded.
That I can fix. That's, yes, lower water. Woo.
Okay. Do you want to lower the water or freeze the water?
Well, I lower this water. If I could
Got it.
freeze that water back there, that'd be cool. But
You can do both of these if you would like.
yes, I would love to do that. If I
Okay.
can impede his speed, but open our speed. That's
Sounds
a lot
good.
of magic, but it's
It
fine.
is.
It's fine.
And you all have one hit point
I
currently.
mean, I can. So if you want to lower this water, I can soften Earth. Not earthquake. Soften Earth. Make it more squishy under the water. Let's just do that.
Okay, yeah.
You can all do a action, so whatever you would like to do, feel free to go ahead.
Okay, I'll do
lower
soften
water.
Earth, and I pass.
Nice.
Yes, and then I have to roll the fatigue.
Okay.
And I guess I passed that too. Sweet, not fatigued.
I think you are fatigued. A 9 versus an 11.
Is it not?
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at Blue's thing. Yes, you're fine. My apologies.
We'll
Alright.
make mine a 15 though, just so it can be better.
Got it. Okay. So Blue, Micah, you soften the earth around you, and you all feel that not a whole lot changes. You think that what you're standing on right now is actually some of the solid-shaped stone that formulates this place just under the water. There are bits of it, though, that kind of suddenly go much softer, and you feel a bit of the hard ground you're standing on suddenly go a little bit lurchy. But then Blue does his lower water and immediately sort of drains this place. Even though there's water still coming in, it basically just pushes itself to the sides to allow you to kind of like see the areas of stone for you to step on and avoid the big squelchy mud that is now created. Were you also freezing, Blue, or was that just one thing for now?
Does it look like the ogre has been impeded by the water and the earth?
The ogre is extremely unimpeded right now.
I will attempt to impede. Just
And Rami, if there's a thing you'd like to do right now, feel free. Otherwise, we can just keep running.
Currently, I think running is for the best at the
All right. So you kind of dart ahead as these two kind of like turn around and quickly do their arcana. Blue
I also think
looks like
she's a little bit like, what the fuck is happening?
yeah,
it's
that's fair. So Blue, you succeeded at your freezing the water. It only affected a decent area. So basically, the entire area of water around the ogre's feet and just kind of going out up to the point where you lowered the water just impedes this thing, and he's just like, oh, I'm going to enjoy eating all of you, and then just. The ice shatters, and he keeps running after you at this point, just picking up the club like a massive baseball bat and ready to just swing all three of you. At this point, you boop, 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 three of you pass through the illusory wall that was protecting this place. There are just vines everywhere that kind of catch you off guard a little bit, and you have to kind of like throw them out of your way and just keep on running. You're no longer kind of up to your knees in water anymore, so that's good. And you keep moving, and the vines sort of catch the ogre as well, and he's like, oh, come on! Rips them down, just kind of bisects a tree, in doing so, struggles through. You find yourself kind of like...
the vines if I can.
Please go ahead.
I'm doing so many things.
Do it. Please keep doing things I can roll strength tests against.
So would you... Plant the Grove also does entangle, so it's basically the same thing. That would be a 10.
All right, we'll say he needs to beat a 10. Okay, so you kind of like,
wow.
As he rips apart the vines, you kind of like get him to wrap around a little bit and grab, and just like slowly kind of pull him. He doesn't seem to register a whole lot. Like, you do take his club away though. What he was using is so wrapped up, he's like, oh, forget it, and just keeps ripping through. Charges forward. I want you all to make a run test, which I think is dexterity.
That's
Constitution.
No,
It's a Constitution.
dang it.
Then Constitution,
Cindy,
please.
Cindy, why'd you say that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Cindy. So make a contest.
Oh, that's a 10 for me.
Okay, 10, a 3 for Rami. Okay.
Okay. Blue got a 12.
Oh,
Okay.
Blue, not for you, because you're not running right now. You're just not.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
Blue
Man,
got a 3 too, I guess. Cause he's okay.
So Micah, you are no stranger to having to run fast, carrying a lot of weight. So you just boom, 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 running with Val on your shoulder, and you turn around to see how everybody's doing, and Rami has tripped, and she has fallen down. Blue, you kind of tumble forward, and the ogre just goes, all right, here we go. And he reaches out to grab you, Rami, and then suddenly this sort of spiked, thorned vine shoots up from the ground, then another, and it wraps around into this massive chaotic briar that just forms a thorny wall, completely shielding you and Blue. And you just hear from behind it, oh, come on, enough with the theatrics! And Blue, you are kind of like scrambling on the floor right now. You look forward and you can see the emerald eyes of Vethra standing at an overlook looking at all of you. And she has summoned this this thorny wall up to you. And she says, we need to get out of here now.
I picked Blue back up.
And she says, quick, this way. Come on.
Yep, running with her.
Yep.
All right. I would like one more run test from everybody. Except for you, Blue.
So just me and
Just Micah and Rami, yes.
Okay.
Very good, Micah. You start sprinting, just parkouring over all the logs, using a vine to just like pull yourself up. You look like a freaking action hero right now, just carrying Val along with you.
To be fair, I did better than last time.
That is true. A 7 is better than a 3. Yeah.
You
A
honestly,
9.
considering the terrain and the situation, the adrenaline fills you, you know, does its job enough for you to at least scramble after. And Mike, your roll is so good that you can just like extend a hand to clasp and pull her up and keep running and running and running.
Okay.
And you run for a long time. You quickly get out of breath, but you no longer hear the sound of this ogre anywhere nearby. And you didn't for a while. It might have just gotten itself impaled on the thorn walls. You're not sure. But you find yourself at a little sort of quiet area. There's a few butterflies gently going around. You look up in the sky and see, oh, it actually is nighttime, which means we've been out for a while. And you're not sure what time of day it is. But Vethra kind of like beckons you over to an area. There's a fallen, very mossy log that you can just kind of like lean Val up against, and the rest of you just rest for a little bit. And she just kind of like stands in it and goes, you all okay?
Yes?
Yeah, better.
Blue, you need medical attention, right?
I think you all need medical attention. I know a little bit. I can try and help.
You should help Blue first. His wing looks really bad.
I will show her the.
And Val, because she's kind of unconscious. She hasn't moved, actually. I'm a little worried.
If you could make sure she's not.
That's
Val's
true.
eyes are fluttering. You can tell she's kind of having an intense dream right now, even despite everything that was just happening. But yeah, you can have a moment to rest. Let me just double check. How long would you like to rest in this spot?
We can't rest
How long until we get our hit points back? We are at 1 hit point, my
So
friend.
if you sleep for 6 hours, you get 10 plus your con plus your level back. If you rest for 4 hours, you recover from being fatigued. 5 minutes, you get 5 plus con plus level back. And you can also all do first aid on each other to heal a bit as well.
Yeah, we'll do the 6. Yeah.
6 hours.
6 hours?
Is it safe here with the ogre who is just right, like, a couple bit? We didn't run that fast. Maybe we should.
Vethra just kind of like lean down and says, we need to get you somewhere where someone can get you help. I can't do all this on my own. You're all at death's door right now.
Do you know where we are? And
She says, well, she kind of looks a little sheepish for a second, and she says, I was tracking your movements, making sure you're okay. You never know. And
well, like following up, like how long was that? Actually, go on. No, it's fine.
I try to do a bit of a scry on your location, and because I was coming to see you, Blue, then I couldn't find you. And usually my magic is good at finding something, so I was quite concerned. I started looking for you, and then had to rely on my nose for a lot of it. And then I finally found you, but you made it very hard. Made it very, very hard.
Yeah.
And at that point, she reaches out with her teeth and pulls out the splinter from your wing. And she just goes, sorry.
No, it's fine. Thank you for that.
You Blue, get... well, actually, I need to see if this test is successful first.
Did she just kill you?
Yes.
So a successful, you get 4 plus 4 health back.
Ooh.
8.
So 8, yes.
Okay, cool.
You're at 9 hit points now. That's better than anyone else. Good.
Very healthy bird. Oh dear, that actually does feel a lot better. So thank you. But
And then Vethra looks at Val and like gives her a quick once over, and she says, "She's really not looking good. We need to move somewhere quickly. What's the closest two-leg place from here?"
Where are we?
I don't know.
we don't know where we are. Oh, just a second. And he's gonna do his like nature knowledge radius thing. Like
Yes. You're gonna commune with nature.
Ooh.
Yes, that is the name of it.
Absolutely. Just remind me what that does.
We're great at
yes,
this game,
there's
guys. We're great.
Whole paragraph.
It does a lot of things.
It does a lot of things. Okay, once per day for if I meditate for 10 minutes, you learn 3 facts about the following in a 1-mile radius.
So real quick, if that's at least 10 minutes, then you all can heal for 5 plus your con plus your level.
Do I get a -2? Because my con's -2?
No, just be
Or-
+0 for you.
Okay, that's fine.
And also, we're doing half health, so we'll say 2 plus your con plus your level.
2 plus con plus level.
So we're level 3, so I get 5. Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Cool.
So at the very least, you're not about to collapse from getting a branch in your face.
Huh?
Sorry, Blue, to interrupt you. What
Paper cuts you lethally.
He's gonna. So, I get 3 facts about a 1-mile radius, and it increases an extra mile for every 2 points above the outcome, and the outcome only needs to be 1. So it's
It's big. It's effectively doesn't matter how much you roll because it's always going to be useful information.
yes. But the 3 facts that I would like to learn about is if there's any people around, the presence of unnatural creatures. That seems like a good thing. Is there more than that? And let's go with the general state of the natural setting, because that's very broad and you can do whatever you like with that topic.
I always do. Okay.
Okay, that's a 9 with 1 stunt point for 11. Gotta make it an 11.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you extend your kind of reach out over a large area. The things that pop into your mind immediately. There is a human settlement very close by. It is also a place where you sense a well, never mind. There is a human settlement very close by, and you extend it more and more and more and more and more, and that's all you get in the 11 miles.
It'd be a 10-mile diameter.
Okay, then you can feel Miniry at the very edge of that.
Oh, okay, we're not too far from Miniry. Is that like a day's travel? Afternoon?
In everybody's condition, it's gonna be a while. It's gonna be a rough, very rough.
Just like a normal condition, I mean.
Oh, in normal conditions, it would take you about, I don't know, a day's, less than a day, but like effectively you're devoting most of your day to
A day's a traveling day.
Yeah.
So we're not too far from Miniry. That's good. But there seems to be a really close by human settlement.
And in terms of like the general feeling of nature, you get a general overwhelming feeling of the status quo. Nothing kind of strikes you out of the ordinary. Just at the place where you came from, there is something unusual, and it's not bad. It's just nothing. It's just a hollow shell, and you've not really experienced something like this before. And it's very small. If you didn't know it was there, you probably wouldn't really have sensed it.
Yeah, and also that place is kind of weird, but we can probably make our way towards that human settlement, try and find some help for Val. But I know the direction. I'm not sure if this just says like, yes, this is here, or if it gives me like ways.
I will say yes. I think the trees helped point their leaves just to give you a
Cool.
nudge in the right direction.
Thanks, trees.
We maybe talk.
Yeah, that actually sounds like a good idea.
How much did you see? You saw a lot, didn't you?
Just to give both of you some kind of context, you definitely saw weirdness in Rami's life. You didn't necessarily awaken with a whole lot of understanding of who she is or what she has done, aside from those very specific flashbacks that we did. So while you definitely saw a bunch of things, you didn't retain a whole lot of them.
Yeah, but I think it was pretty clear that she didn't grow up in a library.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot of it's pretty.
It's like she grew up in a cottage or something. She was born in a very bad place, but she grew up in a cottage, something like that.
Something like that. Your mom seems terrible. Who didn't say
Mom
that?
seems terrible.
Terrible.
No,
That
sorry.
wasn't my mom.
So to just be clear, Rami's mother was pregnant with her, and then somebody was scrying on the mother.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else, yeah.
That's a
So,
lot better. That's a much
Oh.
better situation.
Yes.
Okay. Your mom's cool, I guess.
And Rami, I can actually tell you at this point because you would straight up know this. When it comes to anybody of any kind of divinatory power, you know that that woman was somebody called Senira Ral, who was one of the Shadowed Seven until the whole Lich King died and then everything went to hell situation. But she is one of the many people vying for power in this place, and that she was relied upon for effectively predicting the future and helping the Lich King execute plans exceedingly well.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in a library exactly. But I don't know. How are you guys doing? That wasn't fun. Seeing all of my part wasn't fun. Did you have fun? Did you have a good time and whatever that was?
I don't think anyone had a good time
None
exactly.
of it was necessarily good per se, but are you okay, Rami? Like, you don't have to tell us everything, but
If I tell you, you won't like me anymore, and everything. I don't know what I'll do and where I'll go, and let's just for just a little while longer. I'll explain later, but just for a little while longer, can we pretend that everything I said was true and that I am from a library and my mom makes bridges and I'm afraid of dance studios just for a little while longer and then I'll figure something out and I'll give you guys an answer that makes sense, but just something, I need to know what I'm going to do next first, please.
You hear, I like pretending.
Oh, you're still here.
You turn around and see Hall has caught up to you or was always there. You weren't sure you were running for your lives at the time.
My friend,
We're
you can make a little bit of noise.
We can hold off on, like, the in-depth stuff. I just wanted to make sure you're okay, though.
I think I'm better. In one way. I don't think I'm going to have headaches anymore.
Well, that's good.
That is good. It also seemed like your headaches were pretty intentional. I'm sorry about that. Do you know who she was?
Maybe-
No!
Conviction.
Oh,
No idea who a scary lady is. She seemed scary, though.
yeah. Maybe when we'll find her, we can convince her to leave you alone.
No, let's
hopefully.
never talk to her. Let's never go
Well-
near there.
Micah, from what you saw, you are no expert, but this woman was doing sorcery. She is the anathema of your people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree. Let's just never find her. Okay. I'm
Let's
okay with
never
that.
find her.
Yeah.
Let's never. Let's pretend none of that happened. Let's just.
That poor guard.
If that's
I
what
didn't
you
even know his
like
name.
to do.
Okay. Okay. So. Okay.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
yeah. Let's just leave this alone for a bit. That sounds good.
Sounds good.
I do owe you some kind of explanation. It can't be now. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I think we'll still be friends no matter what. Don't worry about it.
You're a good person, Micah.
Oh.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Did you want to make your way to the human settlement and see if you can get help for Val there?
That sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah. I think we're moving, yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, you set off. Vethra is kind of like next to you, and she's just kind of casually asking, "So, what exactly happened? How did you get out here? Why couldn't I find you? What was the deal? What were you trying to do?"
Couldn't say, honestly. We were moving to go speak with Birdriff, the head of the group that the hunter was from, actually. And
Vethra's face clearly sours at that. She kind of looks away real quick.
There's something influencing him, though. We all saw that.
yeah, there's a lot going on there. But some things happened, I suppose. He kind of looks towards Micah, not wanting to embarrass her, with stories of how she kind of almost killed us all.
I'm sorry.
But no, it's fine. He didn't say it.
Okay.
But and we found ourselves there. We woke up there, and then things got weird. That place is strange.
This is why they shouldn't be allowed to build things out here.
It was a different time. How are the? What was the? So there's the Vada Shar, Vada An, and the Vada
Vatazin?
Vada Zin. How are the Vada Zin viewed by Raiden? Are they
They are effectively, not to get too up on the high horse here, but they were kind of favored by the gods a little bit. They were sort of seen as very wise and smart and beautiful and magical, and they knew so many things, and they were so kind and welcoming.
Super pompous. Holy hell.
They were
And
the
then-
Raiden of two legs. Like, I could get it.
Kind of, yeah. And then the Vata Shah and the Vata An are sort of descendants from them, seen as like the descendant or the creation of one of the primordials. So Rami is a descendant of Morena. and Ricard is descendant of Celine.
Cool.
At least that's how the story goes. It's not,
I like that story because Celine's in it. Cool. But yeah, it was a different time. Different people. A lot of Sin were a pretty wise race as far as we know.
I wish I could find them. I have so many questions, but I can't ever find anything to get the answers. You know? No?
No.
Yeah, buddy.
Just me?
Have you tried reading those buildings back there?
Yeah, it's harder on buildings. I need a thing. Like a tool. Or a weapon. You know? Or a splinter stuck through your wing. There's not even any
suppose.
bones. I haven't found a single bone.
Oh, huh. Weird. Well, if it's
Are you gonna just hang around us for a while? Aren't we friends now?
Oh, I don't think I've had a friend.
You know who else hasn't had a friend? Ricard. I should hook you guys up together.
Dear.
Would his life
Okay.
be an interesting one to live?
Yes, actually. I think Ricard's really
No,
interesting.
what?
Well,
I don't think I've
he
ever seen him
gives-
step outside before.
That's not true. Ricard is extraordinarily fascinating and knows so much about magic.
We take
know,
him
if you-
like everywhere. He goes outside.
He goes outside when we go outside because
His
he's
life
our...
is about as interesting as ours in a way.
Okay. If you take me to your village, I can just start reading the whole village and see if there's anybody interesting I can play as for a while.
Well, I don't know if playing as someone is the best. Do you do possession? Is that what you do?
Is that,
Because that's
would you
wrong.
yeah, are you gonna possess whoever you play as?
I possess items.
But
Do you
then how do you
possess
play
people?
as people?
No.
Okay, that's good.
So you just talk like them? Like how?
It's I've been looking into the history of things for so long that I can't even really remember my sense of self anymore. I'm just kind of just a thing that's able to do something at this point. I probably had a different name. I can't remember what it is. So, anytime I want to try and feel emotions, I just play as something I find interesting for a bit just to feel something.
If I remember
Holy
correctly, this is
shit.
a nature spirit, right?
Yes. It's a weird one.
It's a weird one. Oh dear.
Oh god,
you
it's
tried?
this is some weird like reflection bullshit going on, right? I need to step away from that.
Have you tried talking to other nature spirits, maybe?
No, they're not very interesting. It's always the same story.
Maybe you should try to make your own story.
Hmm.
You've
Would-
been
would-
so long as everyone else, and you don't even remember who you are. So maybe you should just restart and be something else, something new, completely and entirely.
But then I'd be denying what I am.
But you're nothing.
Aw.
Oh, well, that's a little harsh.
No, you're definitely.
It's okay, I
not
can't feel
nothing.
sadness. Maybe I'll go find something to feel sad about soon, but I'm alright for now.
I
You
don't
want to be the
like
splinter
this
again?
thing.
I'm sorry.
Oh, guess I can leave.
No.
Well,
Do
Can
what you
ta- can
like.
can you take me to your village? That would be fun. If not,
I don't know if that's the best idea. Like, you can't go there, but I mean, we're going to a village, but I don't. Oh dear.
okay, I'll go to that one instead.
Oh dear. Mm.
I don't like this. I feel like deeply unsettled at this moment.
Vethra just is sitting there going, somebody please fill me in on what this thing is and why it's like this.
It's a nature spirit that inhabits the. It gives a presence to inanimate objects, I suppose, and it reads them in their past. Apparently, to feel emotion,
That is upsetting.
isn't it?
It's a little sad.
So I'll just follow you. Last time I had your hammer. Can I have another hammer?
She just looks on her person. I don't have one right now.
Oh, never mind then. Well, it will still be yours, so I wouldn't get anything new from it. And also, we just had that entire thing that just happened, so... Never mind. I'll just follow you to this village, that sounds fun.
Okay.
Okay.
You can come along for now. Maybe try not to possess too many things at once and stuff. Yep.
Maybe ask people before you possess things.
Oh, I've never done that before.
It wouldn't that does it sound like fun? Does it sound like fun to ask?
Hard to say.
What do you do with all the information you collect?
I guess I remember it. Sometimes I forget it. Sometimes I like just living things out, feeling how it would have felt. Experiencing the same emotions. Even sad ones are nice to feel sometimes.
Oh, you
Better than
poor
nothing.
thing. Okay, fair enough. Alright. Well, come along then.
Go on or come along.
Or, come along. I mean,
Okay.
I feel a little bad from, flinging you into outer space last time, so.
Yeah, it was really good. I played as you for a bit. That was rather fun.
Oh.
Oh.
Did you have fun, at least? Or,
Yeah, had a big hammer. Didn't really use it though. You're not very good with it.
well, thanks. Okay, thanks. I'll have you know, I cast something earlier today and almost killed all of us. It
Also,
is
you totally thrashed Hall in your first ever encounter with one hit, so you don't know what he's talking about.
So she's just grumpy. She's like, I don't know. So she's walking. He's like, all right, yeah. By the way, sorry, I almost killed everyone. I sort of panicked.
No, it's
Okay.
fine. We jumped the gun on the let's just fight it. And I believe I was the one who said, let's just fight it. And to be honest, that was a bad decision. Normally I do everything I can to not pull out my sword. But I was in a really shitty mood, and having someone come over and be like, oh, do what I told you to do I was not in the mood for it. Sorry.
Yeah.
Vethra says, yes, neither was I.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Everything's fine. I mean, we're alive, and that's good. Maybe just work on your aim a little bit, maybe?
Yeah, I'll work on that. And well, to be fair, that spell's never actually worked before, so.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
How
that's-
thrilling.
Oh,
How
God,
thrilling
it was
that the
so-
first time you used it successfully was to destroy part of the wheel. And she kind of like gives you a glare blue and says, I'm going to keep an eye on you from back here. And she
In the back of Blue's mind, I will admit he's thinking no two legs should have magic anymore. Let's just. I haven't seen them use it perfectly. I need a good example of one person just doing magic and not hurting something. Rickard set the forest on fire. Micah,
Val's got Wild Arcane, like Earthquake.
just
To be
one
fair,
person.
Rami hasn't hurt anyone with her magic.
But it hurts you. More proof that they shouldn't
But it
be doing
hurts
magic.
you! Oh, I love it.
Great. All right, so do you want to just continue on carrying Val, trying to get to this settlement, see if we can get her some help?
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Blue, why don't you make a natural law test navigation test, which is
Okay.
intelligence, and everybody else can make a perception test of your choice to kind of keep an eye out as you're going along.
Could I get that +2 from like Vethra helping me?
Sure, yeah.
Is it +1 or?
+2.
Cool.
Micah with a 16, nice.
I
15.
see
Oh.
everything. Remy with a 17. All right, damn.
Get out of here, Mikey. You're
Fuck
16.
yeah,
no
I'm
kidding.
out. I'm out. Peace.
So, it's fair to say after today's ordeals, although you were, tired and battered, you are keeping extremely hyper-focused and aware for any kind of danger, because that is the last thing you need today. Blue, let's see, you, with Vethra's help, you managed to navigate easily enough. There's still kind of a lot of sodden areas of the Weald, and navigating at night is a little bit tricky. But you're managing okay enough. Rami, you are the first to notice that there is sort of a big hulking shape moving through the sort of underbrush nearby, and it's quite quiet. Much smaller than an ogre. We're talking sort of Micah-sized. But you do hear them kind of like moving around close by.
There's someone here. It's not an ogre. It's closer to Micah size. That direction.
Vethra says, I can flush them out. Or take them out.
Let's not go quick to murder. We don't know who they are, if they're a friend or an enemy. They might have information we need.
Just be like,
Hello?
The figure suddenly stops, spins around. You see a silhouette kind of through the undergrowth.
Hello, darling. Would you like to come out, I guess?
Why don't you come out here? And you hear as two swords are unsheathed from their sheaths.
Do we recognize that voice, or is this a new
You do not.
person? Okay.
No, you're like crawling. I don't want to.
Just to clarify, they're not crawling. They're just, in a separate area from where you are.
Okay, so they're not, I
Prowling.
thought they're like hunched over, but okay.
No, they're just kind of like large. Just...
Okay.
Oh, I see.
No, I think we're fine where we are. You know, what's your thing? Do you want to be friends? Do you want to be enemies? Do you want to just never pretend we didn't talk and just keep going forward?
You're
That's
from
an
Miniry,
option.
aren't you?
Yes.
Do it. Okay, and you hear the swords just resoundingly go away.
How did you know that?
And you see this big, large bear of a woman come out, and she says, because only Miniry folk would get out here without any idea what they're doing. And she says, hi!
Hello.
Hi.
Rami
Hello.
Lawfred.
And she kind of like looks, do you extend a hand?
Yeah.
She kind of looks at it and goes, oh, alright, and she just kind of grabs it sort of in a forearm grip and just, very firm grip.
Point.
It doesn't intend to be hard, but it's just kind of, you can see that's her natural way of greeting people.
Wait, is this the woman?
Uh-huh.
And
the- From my vision?
yes, Blue, very quickly you recognize the silhouette of this person. This is the woman you saw in your vision. This morning, the morning you had the vision, whenever. You also just like, boy, visions, didn't want to warn me about that earthquake.
There's a whole thing there.
Yeah,
Guess
that
that
would
was-
be nice.
I guess that led here, so...
They are unreliable.
Okay, yeah, you can continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so she's basically just like, all right, so let's have a look at you, shall we? You actually look like you could do pretty well in the fight. Hi, what's your name? She's looking at you, Micah.
Oh, Micah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Micah. Ah, good stuff. She kind of like punches you in the shoulder to kind of like measure your worth, and you just don't move. Just poof.
Oh, sorry.
And
Yeah.
she kind of like nods, just like, all right. And she looks at you, Remy, and she goes, oh,
Different talents.
yeah, I imagine so. I don't really know where to start with you, but
You know,
it
That's
must take a
not
lot of
exactly-
talent to do whatever you're doing.
you know what? That was wonderful. That was a great insult. Extraordinarily passive aggressive.
I apologize. I was not trying to insult you.
Oh, well, you have a real knack for it.
Okay, and you, well, you're a small little bird. Hello.
Hello.
Oh,
Also.
Oh, okay.
Unnecessary.
all right, you're all right, and my apologies. Oh,
Right? Yeah. Maybe
Yep.
just don't poke random animals, even if they aren't right.
I'm-
That's...
that's good advice. Honestly, it's good advice. That's how I lost this finger, and she holds up her hand, which is missing her ring finger.
There you go. Also, I think that we were supposed to meet here. I had a vision just this. I think it's only been a day, but I had a vision basically, and you're the woman we were meant to meet, so that's nice.
I don't like this one bit. What are you talking about? What do you want?
You wouldn't have happened to be heading to Birdrift and his group.
All right, I
would you?
really don't like that she
No,
pulls
no,
her
no,
sword.
no, no,
out
no,
again.
no, The bird is magic.
Well,
Magic bird.
yeah, see, visions. I'm a magic
He has
bird.
a name,
Oh,
I do.
Blue's magic.
I assume.
I'm
You're
blue.
Extraordinarily talented.
Hey,
in
Blue.
so many ways.
My name's Urza, and you might explain to me why we are predestined to meet here.
Well, I just saw us standing together and standing in front of who I assume to be Birdrift. So,
Hmm.
2 and 2.
Okay. God, never did like magic. She like sheathes the swords again, and she says, "Yeah, just so happens I am going that way. What are any of you doing out here? I don't take this the wrong way. I don't consider your kind the best survivalists.
We're
You
not.
also look rough. Are you okay?
No,
Have you just
not
No.
really.
pulled a bear?
We're not the best survivalists, and no, we're not okay.
And
Can we
why are
come
you
with
out
you?
here? Yes, you can come with me, you little cubs. Get over here.
Oh,
Okay.
And she just like pulls you into a big like group hug, just like, all right, I'm gonna keep you nice and safe.
Just gonna go land on Vethra's shoulder now because
Yeah, Vethra
I
is just
just-
looking at this, just like the
I
second
don't
she like
wanna
did a
be
bear
crushed.
hug. Second that Urza did a bear hug, Vethra was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
we're here for Miniry as part of Miniry's council to try to negotiate peace talks with the bandits, which I'm not really sure is going to go well after some information we picked up while fighting an ogre.
An ogre? And how many of you were there?
All of you, this many, besides the cat. The cat came in for the second part of the
Vethra.
fight. Vethra.
Names.
I don't know if you've actually told me her name, though. So,
I am Vethra.
hi, Vethra. Wonderful to meet your acquaintance. Vethra helped us in the second part of the ogre fight. It's been I'm not sure what time it is, and I think I just got scammed by a grumpy lumberjack because I'm not getting back in time for my meeting.
Oh, whole lot of village problems going on there. That's for an ogre, I hear, and you dealt with it. That's actually, I am genuinely impressed by this.
Oh,
So
it's not
good
dealt-
job.
Not dealt.
It's
I
not
think
dealt
we
with.
ran faster.
It's alive, and it's still really
just-
angry.
Yeah.
Ah, no shame in it. You gotta survive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, alright. So, you little, I have some business I need to attend to, so I can escort you back home, but first I gotta deal with my things.
What are your things?
I have some words I need to exchange with Burdreth.
I like look at the others like, should we tell her about the angry shadow spirit and kind of glance?
Just kind of mime that very quickly.
Yes.
That sounds like a good idea. We don't want anyone to get hurt. Is the look that he gives you with his wait, no, I can talk into your head.
Talk in my head.
We
Yeah,
can have
I-
telekinesis, and we're just not using it.
Knock, knock. I mean, I have to knock on the door. We don't have a psychic connection. I don't think I've ever spoken into your head.
No, you
Oh,
have. We
that-
had
that
a
was-
side conversation at the inn, at the
Oh
tavern.
yeah, we totally did. So yeah,
Just,
just
it's weird because you see the ghosts of each other just superimposed on each other, so it's like, well, this is redundant. While this is happening, Ursa just goes up to you, Micah, and says, "Nice armor!" Just kind of flicks it, listens to the sound. Good craftsmanship.
Thanks.
Did you make it yourself?
No, someone else did, and they're probably gonna be really angry because it's all ruined, and it's my first day with it.
Oh, listen, armor isn't meant to be, not used. You're fine. And she claps you on the shoulder.
Oh, thanks, I guess. So what words did you need with Burdreth anyway?
We had a couple of run-ins. I thought we had an understanding. Either his people are getting very sloppy and mistaking my mountain folk for bandits, or some kind of declaration of war is starting, which, oh, big mistake.
So there's another element in play here, and I explained the creepy
Sorry,
shadow.
Wait, did you want to have your psychic conversation? real
oh,
quick?
it would have
Oh,
been
we-
just like
It
that
just would've been
one
that.
It was just
Got it.
that. I gave him
Right.
a look. He said, "Yeah, do it," and then I
Okay.
did it.
Yeah, so Urza's like, all right, I'm listening, but let's walk and talk because we're wasting time.
Oh God, more walking. Wonderful. And
He's
I,
like, want a piggyback ride?
yes.
Here you go, come on.
Is this
Get
the
up here,
transmission
cup.
of knowledge, by the way?
Sorry, what?
Is this the transmission of knowledge?
Is this the transmission? Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, take conviction.
And we explained the creepy shadow thing that makes you feel anger and bad stuff.
Okay. So Urza just kind of like is clearly sort of enthusiastic, but sort of quickly wanders off until you say things that are fairly interesting to her, and she says, "You don't say. Well, that's a real problem. Guess we Here's the thing. Burdreth and his bunch are what we would call a necessary evil around here. He's kept a lot of the no good folk from the mountains from preying on various forest folk and other settlements around here. But if he's a evil shadow thing, am I getting that right?
Oh, he's not an evil
Maybe.
shadow thing. An
He's not
evil
an evil
shadow
shadow
thing is attaching onto him and influencing his
Oh,
emotions.
that makes it more complicated. Okay, alright. Well, no, alright, this is fine. We just beat it out of him. Boom! Gone.
No,
Well-
no, I don't think it works that way.
Okay.
Would any of us know how it works? Because
You can make Sorcerer's Lord checks, but they're going to be very hard. So, intelligence.
that's fair.
Might get
Yeah.
lucky.
Who knows?
Maybe. I
And then it's
grew
the
up
fun-
in Kern.
Then it's a
I
fun game of me
have
figuring out
parents
how
who are sorcerers. Maybe.
got-
Micah, why do you know so much about
Why-
sorcery?
I got a 17. Look, man. Look,
You
man.
read so many
Society is
books.
the way it
Why
is
that?
because of sorcery. Okay? It's scary shit.
I know. Micah always knows everything.
she
This
does.
is incredible.
Okay. Micah, even you aren't certain what the protocol here is. As I can tell you this though, what you know about the sort of lieutenants, the very powerful shadow fiends that are typically some of the most powerful, you know that they can't really stick around in this world very long, as far as what you've heard. Like, they are so suffused in the shadow that it constantly draws on them. So you wonder, oh, I guess they need hosts to not have that happen, but beyond that, you're not sure how else the mechanics of it work.
Okay.
Oh, we don't need to beat them.
Servitor, sorry, they're called servitors. The super powerful shadow fiends.
Servitors?
Servitors.
Servitors, okay.
Servitors. We just need to appeal to his better nature, as cheesy as that sounds.
So it just goes, ha! Oh! I shouldn't have come out here, should I? Oh well.
If it goes terribly wrong, having you around is a comfort.
Listen, if they try anything, I will proceed to pick them up and throw them at each other until they're all falling down.
Oh, I like doing that too. Let's be friends.
Yeah, yes. And she just slams, just boom, fist bump.
Oh dear.
And
That's
she kind of goes to you, Mike, and she says, "Now you gotta tell me, you're no offense to these lot," and like she's whispering, but you're right on her shoulders, Rami. She says, "No offense to these lot, but you seem to be made of sterner stuff. Why are you in the little fancy village when you could be, you know, amongst someone more like you?"
Village is not fancy.
Ah. It's
Just to
fancier than
clarify.
than most other things.
There's cow poop everywhere. It is not at all fancy.
I see. That's what I'm talking about.
To be honest, I'm just kind of helping. That-
Oh, mercenary. Got it.
Well,
I thought something didn't make sense there.
oh, okay. Well, sure, yeah. Or you're from a mountain too? Which cave are you in? Maybe we can connect the tunnels at some point and hang out.
No, what? No.
What? What? You said you're from what?
No. Don't live in a. It's more of a what do you call it? Overlook outpost. We're from Backshaw.
So you're a surface dweller too. I see.
And she just kind of like puts a massive hand in your head and just kind of like ruffles your hair a little bit. All right,
Okay.
Cubs, let's keep moving. Is that one okay? Is there something I could do for her? And she's kind of pointing at Val, who you're carrying.
Do you know
There is-
medical aid?
I'm no stranger to keeping blood inside of you.
Oh, is she
That's not what you
bleeding?
think.
Michael like throw her on the ground. Wait, is she bleeding?
No.
She has cuts and scrapes, and now she has a much nastier bruise. But no, she is not
God!
currently bleeding a lot.
Maybe we should switch. You take Val and I'll go with Micah. If she drops me, it's not that bad.
You know, I do have bandages. At the very least, we can just like wrap it around the worst parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
would
sounds
be
good.
Nice. Anything you can do to help would be appreciated.
All right. And she like kind of puts you down, Rami, and she says, "All right, here's a survival tip for you. Always bring some bandages because they are never not useful." And she kind of like just reaches far into her jerkin and just starts rummaging around, and you just get the idea that there's a lot of stuff that she just carries with her. She's like, "All right, here we go." Just pulls out an entire sheet of bandages and just like leans down and starts applying them to Val.
You know a lot about camping, don't you?
What gave it away?
God
I
damn
spent
it.
so much money for nothing!
And Val heals for 5 points of damage.
Is she alive?
She's alive. She's not conscious.
That's like 100 gold. That's I gave a lot of money.
You say that out loud.
Yes.
Ursa goes, who are you paying 100 gold for basics of camping? Oh, there's a part of me that misses city life sometimes. Hold on.
I knew it was a bad fucking deal, but cool. I'll just watch you.
Hey, I won't even charge you for it.
Great. I have no more money.
First step of being a survivalist, don't need money, you're fine, let's go. She hoists you back up, Rami, and Mikey, you hoist Val back up, and you continue on. Vethra is keeping a very careful distance. She communicates with you at one point, Blue, that she doesn't entirely trust this person. And so she's going to stay back and just make sure everything's good, try to stay as stealthy as possible. She also informs you that if you're going to Burgess, she wants to know what's going on there, because if one of their people is a Raiden Hunter, how many of them are Raiden Hunters? And if they are, she's going to maybe be hard to stop if she tries to tear the place to pieces.
I do tell her, like, about our mini conversation with the hunter, our interrogation.
Yes.
And say that, like, yeah, they know he does it, but they don't themselves do it. And I'll bring up the vision again. Like, so I didn't see you there, so this is kind of a happy surprise that you're here. But I don't want to put you in danger, and we could be going into a potentially very dangerous situation here. So if you want to, like, just stay back, and I'll stay in touch.
I will stay back, and I will keep an eye on you. I owe you that much.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Do you tell her at all?
Oh,
sorry.
No,
go ahead.
Do we know how Blue knows Vethra at all?
Yes.
Okay.
From the visions, you pick up that the first time you all met Vethra was also Blue's first time meeting Vethra. It's just that they established a much deeper bond than any of the rest of you.
Fair enough.
Blue, do you tell Vethra at all about you seeing her in the vision and anything like that, or do you keep that to yourself for now?
Her having a potential, like, shadow demon inside of her?
Until it went back to Burdrith when you...
Yeah, that seems like a thing that I don't need to not tell her, and that she should maybe know, so she could be more, you know...
Is now the time to tell her, though, is my question.
You know, I am all about the like, open communication, and it doesn't seem like a bad time, honestly. Like, he's trying to be a bit more forthright with her, at least, because she's been so candid with everything going on.
Okay, well, gain a point of conviction, and then while you and Vethra have this rather hard discussion, we can take a break. We'll be right back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Don't go anywhere.
We'll be right back.
Maybe more quick. And welcome back, everybody. We're diving right back into Tales from Miniry Village. So, you are... Well, currently, Blue, you're having a discussion with Vethra. Did you want to go into that, or just kind of broad strokes it?
We could go into it. I'm not sure how much insight I could actually offer. I let her know, like, so Vethra, back there, we had an experience where we kind of saw the perspectives of many different things. And I kind of saw yours probably just within days before we met. And it seems like there was some sort of shadow demon inhabiting your body at the time.
Excuse me? What?
It's hard to explain. It was like a smoke that surrounded you, and through all your rage and
I think I would remember something like this.
I specifically saw that you wouldn't remember it though, so.
Are you suggesting that I... She looks extremely frustrated at this revelation, and is not saying much at this point.
If there was a better way I could like explain it to her. Is there a psychic contact that allows you to like share a memory? Is that within
There is, yes. It is, I forget what it's called, but it's a kind of deep contact where you share senses and thoughts and memories instantaneously. But if one of you dies, the other one will get what's called psychic feedback, so just don't die within the next 10 seconds and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I will offer to do that.
Psychic rapport, that's what it's called.
Rapport, yes.
Okay. So you enter psychic rapport with her with her permission. And she kind of like demands it a little bit because she's like, she finds it difficult to believe this because...
Oh, wait, can I block out the things that I would not like her to... I don't want to like... See...
You choose what you share.
Okay, I just don't want to give her like other people's information just because I want to share with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you enter psychic rapport. You show the moments of her getting inhabited by this thing, the moments of you talking to her, giving her the strength to fight against it, and you can see there's a tear that forms in her eye. And in those moments, since you're in psychic rapport and you think and feel basically the same thing, you feel the guilt that she feels from being somewhat responsible for the raid coming back, but also there's this sudden sort of shattered illusion because she thought at least Raiden can never stoop to these levels, and now she's just been shown that actually you are just as corruptible, maybe not even just as corruptible, but you are a corruptible Raiden, which is saying something, and she's having a lot of difficulties coming to that realization. It's very painful for her. And she cuts off the psychic rapport at that point.
Did she also have felt how that's absolutely not true? You're perfectly fine. And yeah, we're all a bit corruptible. You're upset, and rightfully so. But, I mean, we're doing better now. It's okay. Please don't be hurt.
She says, I need some time here, Blue. This is a lot to digest.
We understand. Take as much time as you need. Like I said, I'll always be in contact. And
Blue,
it's gonna be okay. Yeah?
Thank you for everything you've done for me.
Of course. Yeah. Blue kind of just sits in the silence for a bit. He's not sure how to respond. Yeah.
Okay. So you continue on. Rami, you're on Urza's back. It is quite comfy up there because she's just just a big woman under a pile of pelts. So you can just kind of snuggle in a little bit if you want to. The suspension isn't great, but you're not having to walk anywhere, so that's nice. Micah, you're still carrying Val around. She doesn't weigh a whole lot, so it's no issue for you. And Blue, your wing still hurts a bit, so you can still have to kind of like sit on a shoulder. Whose shoulder are you on right now?
I will be on the shoulder of Rami so that I am the highest.
Excellent. Okay. Love it. All right. And Urza says, okay, so I don't know if any of you have a plan. I'm just going to kind of storm in there and make a bunch of demands and then...
Oh, no. Oh, that's not how we diplomatize at all. No.
Maybe
that's not...
we could not,
What if...
Okay, why don't I go in first and then do my thing, and then you can go in second and do whatever your thing is, so we don't have to get tangled up.
Because here's the thing, you're going to piss them off, and then their mood's going to be really angry and upset.
Hold on, I might not. I just want some answers for why they're attacking my guys.
Could
Which
we
is
go in
fair,
first, maybe?
And it's
Or
understandable. What if we can ask those questions in a way that doesn't upset them? That is something we can do.
Is that what you're good at?
Depends on the day, but sometimes, yes. I'm better at lying to people, actually.
She's really good at both, honestly.
Let's
The
hope this
lying
is your
thing
day
is
then.
Kind of like, yeah.
Okay. So it doesn't take too long before you kind of make your way through the wilderness. It's a fairly nice area that you're in right now. The ground is nice and flat. It's just spongy grass everywhere. Some nice trees. You quickly come across a lot of tree stumps as well. Clearly there is somebody living here who is harvesting these trees. And you soon see, Blue, it is very familiar to the vision that you had, a large kind of compound filled with palisades, these spiked wooden stakes sticking out the ground everywhere, huts and pavilions, and a couple of cabins that have been constructed as well. There are people patrolling the walls, and there are many stakes thrown into the ground that just have these gray hoods pierced on top of them as well. And you can tell that this rather sinister, not so great and friendly place is Burdred's compound.
Cute.
And Urza says, look at them being so dramatic. Look at them with their walls. And she just kind of keeps stomping forward.
Maybe don't insult them the moment we walk in. Remember, we're trying for diplomacy first.
She quickly drops you off her back, and she says, listen, I have no intention of messing up what you have going on, but... Okay. If they start doing anything bad to you, you're my cubs right now, so I'm going to protect you.
I appreciate that. I am here for that. I am grateful for that.
Okay.
I just think...
That's all the words. That's all the words you need. Done. Let's go.
Too many. More. I had more.
All right. Let's hit him.
I just think that you have your strengths and we have ours. We've been doing diplomacy missions now to many different places and we have a bit more experience. So maybe we should take the lead. And if I want you to intimidate them, I will point over and you'll be great at that.
I like you. All right, let's do this.
Okay. And I think I go to one of the guards, like standing around.
I mean, yeah, the second you're in sight, you have bows trained on you immediately. Blue, you assume Vether is keeping an eye close by, but you don't see her anywhere. She's probably up in the trees. And one of the guards calls down and says, "Stop! Identify yourself!"
Of course. Hello there. My name is Rami Lawfred. I have here with me some friends. We're from Miniry Village. We're hoping to make peace talks.
You hear Urza from behind just go, "If this works, I'm just gonna be shocked but amazed at the same time, I suppose." And the guard is kind of looking at you like, "From Miniry, we got a couple of saplings.
Yes.
What do you want?"
We were hoping to have a conversation on what your goals are and what our town's goals are, and hoping we can find a middle ground.
Huh. All right. I'll let the boss know.
Thank you kindly. I truly appreciate your efforts.
I'd say make no sudden movements, but I don't think we've got anything to be worried about. And you hear Urza just goes a very loud growl, just like...
Not yet, darling.
I mean, he's right, so... It's fine.
What? Besides, if they underestimate us, that's an advantage in our court.
Ooh, cunning fox over here. I like it. And eventually, a guard comes up and says,
All right, you can come in.
Thank you kindly.
And a gate is opened up for you, opened by these pulleys, and it kind of leads to this very muddy, very rough ground that you can walk over, and you are escorted inside. You see that a lot of the people here look a bit sort of like they've been living rough for a while. A lot of dirt. You really smell a lot of these people as well. The cleanliness and hygiene is clearly not high on the list of things. And Urza even kind of leans down and says, "Look, I'm all for getting mucky out here, but cleanliness is important too. You gotta stave off disease that way. Look at these people right here."
Yes, that is not the best.
And you can see like a lot of these people, they're just people. Like you see some a couple of sea folk, a lot of humans, not a whole lot of night people, but you walk in escorted by a lot of guards. The entire time you feel a lot of eyes on you, and there are people kind of like up on the walls looking down at you. None of them have the weapons pointed at you at this point. You can see they don't necessarily think you're much of a threat as you currently are. Especially since you're carrying, a unconscious person with you. Yeah, you make your way in, and you're now kind of standing in this sort of central courtyard, very muddy. A lot of people kind of like pop out of tents to see what's going on. You can see that they're kind of dressed in leathers and scraps of cloth, and a lot of them have kind of just like camouflage paint over their faces that they've yet to kind of wipe off or wash away. And you find yourself kind of like standing there just like watching all these people looking at you, and it's eerily silent. You think somebody would be murmuring something, like making a joke or just like saying, "Hey, who are these people?" or something, but nobody's saying anything. They're just all watching you.
I
And
try to
Urza-
have a conversation. Will they say anything? Like if
Yeah, what do you say?
just like, to one of the persons passing by, I'm like, "Oh, that's a lovely piece of leather you have. That's so nice looking."
You hear kind of just like a sort of a snort, and they just kind of utter the word sapling under their breath and keep walking.
Okay.
And
They can
Urza,
talk. That's
Was
Urza
that what you
leans
were
in
testing?
and says, "Oh, this is highly, highly unpleasant."
Oh yes, but we just keep smiling, darling.
If you say so. And you can see that up on this kind of sort of a scaffolding balcony that's been made that leads to one of the larger sort of huts. Out steps a man with a very sort of sinister complexion, very dark bags under his eyes. Doesn't look like he's cracked a smile in years. And he has very weathered features, walks with an immense weight to him, although he's not necessarily bulky, the same way that Urza is. But the way he walks is with a lot of purpose and with a lot of command. And he makes his way over to the edge of this thing, standing about, 10 or so feet above the rest of you. And he just kind of folds his arms and leans back, and he says, "You're from Miniry? Talk."
Well, first, can I ask a favor? One of our own got injured on the way over. Is there any place that we can just have a rest for a moment? She's not doing well.
We have healers. They can see to her if you want.
I would appreciate that immensely.
All right, make it so. And immediately, a couple of these warriors come out, and they're even carrying like a little sort of gurney between them as well. It seems they are no stranger to having to quickly do, field triage, and they kind of come over to you, Micah, and sort of pop it down next to you.
Awkwardly, like, oh, right, okay.
You not so gently kind of put Val down on the stretcher, and they quickly kind of pick her up and take her to a nearby tent. You do lose sight of her. She, the flat kind of
I will
goes down.
note the tent, though, like, which
Yeah,
tent she's
can we all note which tent?
Yeah, the tent is noted. Even Urza even leads in and goes, "I'm noting that tent." Okay.
Oh, dear.
And then Burdureth says, "So, why'd you come all the way out here, getting one of your own hurt? What you want?"
Well, we came to represent Miniry. We were hoping to... We've been going to all of the settlements nearby. It's important to establish peace, to make friends, to keep our town afloat, and we were wondering if you would be interested in that kind of talk.
You seem to represent the crown. We're not too fond of the crown round here.
The crown is not our exact representation. Our exact representation is the people of Miniry, the folks who are doing their best to live just like you and me. The crown has decided we are too far off to even offer much help to us. In circumstances, we stand on our own, just as you do.
Make a persuasion test with a +2 bonus, Remy, because you said something that was very good.
Very good.
The rest of you kind of sit there just looking around at everybody else. Everybody's just looking at you. There's no real sort of... I mean, it's sinister just having that many people look at you, but there's nobody's kind of like, yeah.
20 plus
Oh.
5 stunts, it looks like? Or maybe no, I didn't. Did I guess this? I don't know.
My god. Okay. No, you got 6
6
stunts.
stunts. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Hold on a moment. What can I do with these stunts?
Yeah, let's review the stunts.
Let's review the stunts.
So you rolled so well, I can straight up tell you. Well, no, mind. We'll choose the stunts first, because that could...
I'm thinking exciting opportunity would be a good one if you impress or inspire
Interesting.
an NPC in the encounter or some dignitary who could logically hear about your actions. While there's no immediate effect, this may lead to some important group or character offering you a future opportunity, maybe towards Miniry, is the goal.
I'm gonna say there's an immediate opportunity. So Bo just kind of like leans back, sort of breathes in through his nose, and he says, "It's very true. Crown don't come out here. They don't care about the rampant crime that happens. They don't care about the families being butchered, the people being taken advantage of. We had to take the law into our own hands, and we've done a damn well better job than they ever have. Sounds like you and I have an accord.
I believe so.
So, if you want to have these fancy talks of yours, we'll be willing to listen."
Wonderful. Is now a good time?
We'll have them when you have the rest of the settlements assembled. Could be good to get those connections.
All right.
Are we done here?
I believe so. Pleasure making your acquaintance. I don't think I've ever said my name. Rami Lawford.
Ezra kind of leans down and goes, "We are not done here."
Yeah.
But
no.
we do have another thing, and another problem we wanted to bring up. I have a friend with me, Urza here, who wanted to...
Hello.
Yes, who wanted to make some points that of concern she has noted.
She kind of like just pushes you to one side, not like forcefully, but just like, "Okay, you're done, my turn." Also, I will note, you do have a Berdrethian, Bash,
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. We have a hunter who.
you have one of Berdret's people.
Yeah, but I'm a liar who's not going to tell him that.
Perfect. Urza speaks up, and she says, hello, Berdreth. I haven't seen you in a while. Here's the problem. Your people seem to need to get their eyes checked, because they keep attacking my scouts, attacking my patrols. You seem to think we're suddenly all the same bandits here. Do we have a problem? Because it's quickly becoming a problem." And Berdreth leans in and he says, "We're missing one of our hunters, and we think you're the one who took him. Am I wrong?" And Urza goes, "Yes, you are. In case you haven't noticed, you're pretty bad at the whole sanitary thing around here, so we don't want one of your stinky people choking up the place. So maybe you could grow a pair of eyes and stop starting fights over nothing." Micah, do you want to say something, or are you just like, yeah?
Micah's just like, wait, no, don't fight. Look. She's defending it. She does not have your guy.
Because he died, unfortunately. We found his body.
Okay. Bert just kind of like leans in and goes, "And how did you know he was one of ours?"
Because we were talking to the men at the inn where he was staying, and they told us that we believe he was a bandit from your camp. We had an incident,
Oi,
and...
one second. Let's make one thing crystal clear. We are not bandits. We are
Excuse
those
me.
who hunt them. Don't you dare mistake us for one of them.
I apologize immensely. I had faulty information from the innkeeper. Clearly, you're doing something much better,
Which inn
greater
was
than
this?
any of them. I don't quite remember. But
Was it your town? Because we're gonna have a
no,
little chat.
no,
if
it
that's
was
the case.
not in Miniry whatsoever.
All right, where was it then?
I named the town.
Okay. Oh, that was
Good person.
wonderful. Please take conviction.
There's a speeding bus and she just went, yup.
Oh my god.
I protect my people that I care about, and
Oh
that is
my god.
So you just immediately say, Kyle. Kyle.
Kyor, I do believe it was a misunderstanding. He wasn't a good one. The way he was acting very similar to bandits we've seen in the past. I do believe that since he was out of your range, he was acting on his own and acting with ill advice. I don't believe if you saw his actions, you would stand for it.
Yet you found him when he was dead.
Yes, the wheel took him. He
How'd
had
he
an
go?
interaction. We found the body. We saw the bite marks on it. He was apparently hunting Raiden. They got their revenge of it.
Make a deception test, Rami. Which, let's be honest, we know how this will go.
Oh dear.
Maybe not. Maybe it'll be the first time I fail, and then I can reroll.
With your 4 conviction points.
No, I have a reroll just for deception.
Oh, that's true.
But I think an 18 plus 3 stud points is probably okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, that's good. That's pretty good.
You can see Burgess kind of like his pose kind of calms a little bit, and he says, "That's a shame. We knew he was hunting Raiden, so we put a stop to it. If they took him out, he got what he deserved."
I believe so as well.
All right. If that's the case, Urza, we had a misunderstanding. Your people aren't going to be targeted by us anymore. Anything else? And Urza just says, if you target us again, we will retaliate a lot stronger next time, so maybe be a bit more careful in the future, and maybe check your facts first. Alright, I'm done. This place stinks. And she just turns around and starts leaving, and then she realizes she's left her cubs behind, and she says, as soon as we all get out of here.
Probably go grab Val if we're leaving now.
Yeah, Burgess just say, like, as you kind of like standing there a bit awkwardly, he says, just want to know one thing. Sooner or later, Aldous is going to take more interest in this place. We know you're making a tunnel, and we know what happens to trading posts around here. Just more and more builds up around him. How do you think it's going to go in the future? And let's be honest.
I am not sure. I know that we've been having difficulties with the tunnel. It's not even something that is fully established at the moment. I know that there are people in the town who wish to have more direct contact with Alden, and I know there are others who don't. Personally, I am of the belief that if they don't want to help us when we have nothing to give, then why should we help them when we have something?
Probably because they're going to have a lot of money coming your way soon. But I appreciate your candor.
Is there like a firm stance on how far they plan on moving into the Weald? Like they're not going to like chop down a bunch of trees.
The entire reason for the Miniry Council and for this entire sort of coalition you're forming is to ensure that boundaries are not crossed.
Okay,
To ensure everybody
yeah.
works together and has an understanding.
Blue
I believe
will
that would
speak
be
up.
like further. Okay, if you want to do it now, it's fine. But I think that might be further into when we actually do like peace talks.
Yeah, he just wants to say like they probably won't be coming. They definitely won't be coming this far into the Weald. I will make sure of that.
Didn't realize you were riding, but good to know. Right, I think we're done here. You can collect your person if she's well. If not, you can stay outside until you travel again.
Thank you. I appreciate your hospitality immensely.
Appreciate you being curt and to the point. Didn't waste my time. All right, everybody back to your business. And he turns around and goes back into his hut. And Urza goes, well, I guess that's fine. That works. You're good. She kind of like pats you on the shoulder, Rami. let's check up on your friend. And you head over to the hut. You have a kind of escort of a couple of guards, but nothing too crazy. When Urza's near one of them, she kind of goes, "Ugh!" And they quickly kind of like get their spear out, and she's like, want to hide behind your wall, do you? And she gets, you all kind of get into the tent. You can see that the healers in this place have kind of redressed Val's wounds. They've kind of cleared up a lot of the dirt that was on her face as well. It looks like there might have been something broken. They weren't entirely sure, so she has a split on her leg. But the people here don't really say a whole lot to you. They just kind of back away from Val and just say, well, she should probably not travel anytime soon. But it sounds like Burdra says you can stick around if you want, or go. Doesn't mean anything to us.
What's the whole sapling nickname about? Want to explain that more?
She kind of like leans a bit close to you and says, well, it speaks for itself. You're new, you're fresh. Don't entirely know who you are, what fruit you're gonna bear, and we don't necessarily like what you're gonna grow into.
Huh. You know what? That's a cute little metaphor. It's adorable.
Lovely. And Urza says, cute like these walls. At that point, the two healers seem to lose a bit of patience and say, why don't you just take her?
We will. Definitely.
Thanks.
Also, Blue, would you mind having a quick side conversation with me?
He just shows up, and we're like right in front of her. There we go.
Okay, so we need to do a little bit of damage control about that lie I just spread. So go
Yeah, that was a lot.
contact the village council and tell them to release information that he died in the wild, and make sure it gets to that town they're going to check in on, with the inn especially. We need to spread that lie about now, right now, before anyone else does. Very important. Talk to the people in the council, get them to lie for us, that's all.
Okay, I think she just cut off the contact. Lying, cool transmission of lies. I don't know who to call about that.
I mean, your only contact is Ricard, and he relays things usually.
Oh.
But you can try and establish contact with somebody else if you would like.
I guess I'll contact Asmira. She's probably
Okay.
concerned.
Just go ahead and make the psychic contact roll, which is your perception psychic, or
Yeah.
one of those things, intelligence psychic, I think.
Sort of lost faith in Rickard after last time. He just was.
I love Ricard, but he
Oh, boy.
also totally did just decide we were dead and not tell anyone.
You told him you were surrounded by 20 shadow fiends.
And he was just like,
Yeah,
oh
but he
well.
could've said something to somebody.
Instead, he was just like, I guess
like,
they're
oh,
dead.
interesting. Okay.
Fascinating.
You're alive long enough to tell me. That's good to know. So 18. Okay, I'm just gonna double check the familiarity thing to add to this, but I think you'll probably be okay. Da-da-da. It is fair to say you are familiar with Esmira. You've known her for at least 3 months. Okay, yeah, you easily establish a psychic contact with Esmira, and once she knows that it's you knocking at the door, as it were, she immediately lets you in, and you see a pale ghost of Esmira standing very proper, and she says, Blue, is everything alright? It's been a while. Is everyone okay? We were expecting you back before nightfall, at least.
Well, we're on our way back now, and things are good now.
Oh, glad to hear it. Were you successful?
Yes, we were successful.
How did Burgess take us having one of his people hostage or prisoner?
Oh.
So Rami said he's dead. Yeah. She also kind of told Burdriff that the innkeeper of Kyor was spreading some pretty foul rumors, so we might want to.
That was a tad irresponsible, but I was not there and I do not have a full understanding of the situation.
She did do it pretty beautifully. It was a wonderful weave of words.
Rami is an incredible speaker. The fact is, it's happened and we need to start moving. I do not feel comfortable starting a relationship like this with such a lie, Blue. The fact is, this person is going to be taken by Alden authority soon. The best we can do is try to mitigate any reparations that Burdrith and his people might be after in Kyor. They've been through enough recently, I believe.
Yeah, we should also probably let. I don't know. This seems like a lot of Never mind. In his head, he was thinking two-leg things, but he's not gonna say two-leg things to her because that seems rude.
Yeah, so she just says to you, otherwise, is peace an option? Can we get...
Certainly is. He's agreed to meet with us and the other settlements in the area, and funny enough, we've also met Urza, who is the leader of the mountain people. So,
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Is there an opportunity there? I don't want to rush anything or strain anybody, but...
I doubt that we couldn't. She's referring to us as her cubs. She seems very fond of us.
That's wonderful to hear. Very good. Well, I hope you make it home swiftly and safely.
Absolutely. It was nice speaking to you, Esmira, and there might be a little bit more to the report when I get back. Okay, bye.
What? Hey, you cut it off.
Is she handling it? Is she getting the lie spread?
I believe. Oh, I think so. Maybe. She said she wasn't comfortable with it, but she also said that we need to mitigate. So
Yes, the only way this is going to work out. I'm like.
yeah, this is a head conversation.
Yes.
The only way this is going
I
to work
assume,
out.
because if you were talking about this in front of Burdrith people, it would be like, what?
We totally lied!
Is if this spreads far enough to that town, when they go in to be all threatening, they believe that he died in the Weald. They know we left with him. They need to think that he died on our way back to Miniry in the Weald. This is very important for everyone to survive and for this to work. I told you from the start that I was probably gonna lie my ass off to make sure that you get your revenge, and that we get the peace talks. To make this work, we need Esmera to pitch in and lie too. This is politics. This is what you do. Everyone lies. It's part of it.
Is this
Well, we
politics?
should be back like far, but I didn't get all the nuances of that when you had said it. So when we get back, you can explain it a little
No,
bit
we
better.
don't have time to get back. It has to start now because they can send their people over to that inn far faster than we can. We need our lie to be there first. Go talk to Esmera and make that clear, Blue. I'm so sorry for being bossy.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Meanwhile, Micah, you just see Blue and Rami just like sort of really thinking at each other quite hard.
Are they just like doing like this?
Yeah. And Urza just kind of says to you, listen, if you ever get tired of Miniry, I'm sure it's nice and everything, but if you want to live with harder people, really test yourself out there, really feel alive, you will be welcome in Backshot, I can assure you of this.
Yes, please.
Really? I mean...
I don't understand what's going on.
She says, well, excellent, I look forward to seeing you. You'll be a fine addition to our clan.
Okay.
Okay, guess Micah's off the council now.
Oh dear.
Micah just left.
She just yeeted herself out of there.
Micah, this is too much.
This is too much. It wasn't the
All right.
ogre. It wasn't anything else. It was literally just them staring at each other and having silent, secret conversations.
That's what did it, okay. So, Blue, what action are you taking?
I'm recontacting Esmira.
Okay, at this point you're also leaving Burdrith's compound. Wythea, it's called, by the way, I kept forgetting to mention that.
Like the That's a pretty good name.
And as you're leaving, Urza's kind of like just strutting around, making sure you're safe, kind of going to anybody that look at you funny. And she said she'll help escort you back. So while you're leaving this place, we'll say this is happening. So what are you doing, Blue?
Yes, I recontact Esmira.
You recontact Esmira, and Esmira just kind of like is a bit silent for a second, and she says, Blue, it's rather impolite to cut off contact before both parties have an opportunity to say goodbye. I feared for you. I thought something bad was happening.
We should really like reestablish. We should establish some sort of like actual psychic contact because it can be quite fatiguing to call you.
At this point, no, you've already done it. It's done.
Oh, we have it. Like I can
One
just.
time. Just
Oh,
one time,
cool. Cool beans.
Do you have her on speed dial?
Yeah, apparently I didn't get the like. There's some subtle nuances that I was missing with Rami's plan. So she would like you to immediately get the word to Kyor that the hunter died. Just spread this as far as possible so that their story lines up with our story. And oh, are we out of Burgess thing now?
Yeah, you're leaving. You're walking away from it at this point.
Okay, I open down to Remy and say, okay, what else was it?
I explained exactly what I wanted.
I relay the
Okay.
pretty much. I'm just but it's it seems like a lot.
Yeah, Esmir
Also,
just
they're
says,
likely going to threaten an innkeeper, so I'll let them know that.
honestly, well, okay. So Esmira hears what you're saying, Blue, and she says, she kind of like, she understands the idea behind it, but she says to you, the only problem there is that the hunter is not dead,
Yes.
and that if we say these things, it will be spreading false information.
Yes.
I don't want to found any kind of peace on a lie,
I was not too fond of the idea myself, but
it's
here
happened.
we are,
and we
and
have
I
But
to-
here we go. But here we are.
yeah, we're
I
here.
told you guys I was gonna lie at the start, and everyone
I
agreed
know,
with me.
it was
Blue,
alright.
you were
It's
like,
just-
yes, I'm here for lying. Now
I
you're
know.
throwing me under the bus.
I remember that. I'm so sorry. It's just I thought we would talk about it more. I remember saying like, "Oh yeah, we'll talk about this."
It all happened so fast.
It did, yeah.
And it was a
happened.
stressful situation.
And it honestly, I think it worked out really well. We
As long
got
as the
him.
lie gets where it needs to go.
So Esmira says this. She says, Alzani is our fastest horse. He can get to the inn, and he can gently inform the watch they have there that potential rowdiness is on the way. And that's all that needs to be done for now, I believe.
Oh, it's gonna blow up in our face so bad if you don't do this.
I
Be
relay
like,
what
that guy? He's
Esmir is
alive.
saying
He's
to
in
Remy.
Miniry. And then we're going to have a
Maybe
bunch of
we
angry
should
bandits
just go back
attack
and
us.
say that.
No! You guys are not understanding. The option is to lie. There is no other.
At this point, you're just being used as a phone, Blue, and just Esmira and Rami are having a chat through you, and they're kind of butting heads a little bit. It's sort of just like there's no real common ground they can find. Esmira does not seem willing to go forward with such a brazen lie, and Rami knows that like this is the best situation. If we could just do this one thing, it would be great for everybody.
Honestly, we could make it a truth. Just saying.
That's an option too.
Esmira, when I spoke to Etheria about it, it was the wisdom she gave me is that I should look deeper into it. Maybe he's under some deeper influence, and maybe something is going on. But I talked to him, and he is a monster. And I met an ogre today. He was far worse
Wait,
than the
what?
ogre.
What?
He said there was more to the report.
I see.
that-
Okay.
yeah.
Good. All right.
that was the extra to the report.
Blue, I am here to ensure that the Crown's laws are at the very least, the worst of the worst is upheld. I need to ensure that it's not anarchy here. We cannot take this person's life into our own hands like this. If we just execute this man, then we are refusing him the chance to be better. We do not know the extent to which this person is troubled. There might be help for them yet. Our psychic healers might just find something that helps redeem them.
Next,
This-
you just lie and say he's
This
dead.
isn't the way, Blue.
Oh.
Very Etheria sounding advice. Okay. Okay. I'm not
Meanwhile,
sure.
like Urza is just kind of like looking as Rami is just kind of yelling at Blue, and Blue is doing stuff, and she just leans into Micah and says, "You know, if you want, I can take these two back, and you just come with me back to Backshaw. You'll like it there, I think."
Micah, while carrying Val, no, I have things to do here as well. I mainly just tune them out. You get used to it after a while, actually.
If you say so, they're drawing every predator around here to us. Not that I'm complaining. I could
There's
use a good
Wait, there's predators?
little cub.
Yes?
You're in the Weald. There's a lot of
Yes.
dangerous things out here.
Wait, really?
What? How do you not know this?
Well, I mean,
It's-
Blue's always been with us, and every time we see anything remotely dangerous, he's just like, it's okay, they're with me, and they leave.
Okay, well that's probably all right then. But if a bear comes, I'm gonna have a bit of a wrestle.
Oh, well, I mean, sure, okay, that's fine.
If another ogre shows up, you can show me how you dealt with it the first time.
I don't think I will, no.
This sudden PTSD flashback from everybody.
No, I don't think so, no, I don't think that's okay.
All right. So to
I think
speed things
the
up.
final thing that I want to tell Blue then is
Yes.
to prepare the guards then, because this is going to get out and they're going to come for us since you guys can't do your damn job right. Politics is about lying. And that's it. That'll be like last thing, just get the guards ready, because once they find out that we have him, we're fucked 3 times over.
You do know
Yeah.
that Bergerith
Didn't care.
wrote the
that
guy
he was
right
dead.
up.
Yeah.
No, but he doesn't like liars. Like, if we are keeping this huge
That's
secret, it's gonna blow up on us. They're gonna go to the end, and he's gonna be like, "Oh, what? No, I didn't call you a bandit. By the way, they took that guy back to Miniry." We spread
It'll
the
work
lie.
out. It'll be fine. We're
We
nice
just
people.
spread the lie. Oh!
I
Cool.
tell Asmira what Rami says, and then also I'm sorry about hanging up on you last time. I was just nervous about
She
talking
says,
about
it's
the
fine.
ogre."
You've clearly been through a lot today.
Yeah. In the past,
And
like,
this is a
3
very
days.
difficult situation.
Yeah.
We're going to need Micah back
Otherwise-
as soon as possible if that's the case then.
How far should we be from Miniry? I don't have a watch. What am I supposed
You're going to be traveling through like the early morning before you're there, unless you want to camp out somewhere and then head there back when there's light. Either way, it's going to be a while.
Should we camp? Do you guys want to camp?
I don't feel like we have the opportunity to camp anymore.
We'll be back in the morning.
Meanwhile, Mike is looking at a backshot brochure in the background.
It's like, oh, look at all these magical things that you could have.
Are we like in the Weald now, like far enough in the Weald where we're not near the Verdrift?
Yeah, you're far from their
Okay.
compound at this point.
So we're royally fucked, but that's Micah prepared to fight.
What?
We probably. I'm sorry.
As it
I
goes,
should-
that seemed to go well.
No, it.
Did that not go well?
Oh,
This is why I
no.
don't talk to people. It's always
Here's
you
the
always
thing,
think
it
one
would have
thing.
went well if I could control every little piece of it. Or if we were all working with one goal. If everyone just had one goal and there was one person telling everyone what to do, then this would have all been fine. But because Miniry is all about everyone having separate ideas and feelings and and everyone has their own thing going on, which usually seems kind of nice, but right now is really bad. We're really bad because we didn't have a unified plan, and I assumed everyone would act with the best interest in Miniry and heart, and instead they're like, no, we can't do that brownie-ish mean.
So about Berkshire.
Yeah. Do you want to? Can I interest you, Micah, in coming to Backshaw?
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe you could. Maybe after all this is over.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't know what's going on with your politics. I honestly don't care for it very much. So good luck.
Thanks. Are you
Thank
willing
you.
to have peace talks with Miniry as well?
You just had a massive meltdown in front of me. I want you to just understand that that was.
No, I'm aware.
Okay. I'm not feeling great about your situation, if I'm honest.
That's completely fair. That's fine. I don't feel great about our situation. If it was the way I wanted it, it would have been wonderful.
Well, I mean, things could always be better, but it's still. Would you like to come to the talks with, you know?
Are they gonna be like this? Because not really. I mean, what's gonna happen? What's the deal?
Just establish that we're all here. You know, set some boundaries, some clear-cut boundaries.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound terrible, what you're suggesting, but also it really seems like you don't have a handle on the situation at all, from what I understand.
No, No, we don't. We did, but then it blew up.
Did it blow up? I'm trying to understand. I've lost a lot of what's happening, and honestly, I don't even know anymore. If it does blow up, then no. If it doesn't blow up, then yes. How's that
That
work?
sounds completely fair, and
Okay.
honestly, that would be what I would do. So as long as we can mitigate the damage that
May or may
is
not be done.
caused, then we would be happy to have these peace talks and have you be a part of it. You have proven yourself as a wonderful person to be around, and we are so grateful for your help.
This cub. And she kind of like strokes your hair again and says, right, we got a long way to go, a lot of hiking to get through. Hey, Blue, want to help me make sure I'm not going the wrong way?
Absolutely.
Alright.
Let me just get my bearings. and-
All right, get up here. And she like grabs Rami and just kind of puts you on her shoulders again.
It's
Uh,
such a
and-
good fly until we messed it all up.
I'm sorry. Is this a tracking check or?
It is a,
navigation?
a navigation, yes.
Yeah.
And you can get a +4 to this because both Vethra and Urza are helping out.
Yeah. Oh, so that's a 15 for stuff.
15 is more than enough. You make your way through sort of the mud-filled lands around you. You enter no particularly difficult obstacles. You have to go around some rough terrain a couple of times, but for the most part, you make it through. You all get tired, though. You need some sleep badly. Rami, I think you might just fall asleep on Urza if your anxiety isn't peaking too badly right now. And Micah, I'm gonna need a stamina test from you, Micah, because you are carrying a person this entire
Oh
way.
damn. Okay. Stamina. Huh. That's only 11.
You gain a point of fatigue,
Okay. That's fine.
which isn't too bad. And Blue, you can probably just like bundle up and nest in somebody's hair or whatever you want to do. At some point-
So that way Micah doesn't have to carry Val and the other lady can.
Oh,
since
yes.
she's tired now. We can just,
You could swap.
yeah, I'll walk.
Okay, sounds good. And at some point, Vethra contacts you, Blue, and she says, I have some things I need to figure out, and I don't know if I'm ready to keep following these people, and I feel a bit ashamed of myself right now, so I'm gonna go. Okay, bye.
Oh dear. I see how it feels now. But I reestablish a contact. Take your time. It's totally fine. Just stay in touch. Don't let yourself be alone if you don't have to.
Aw.
Appreciate it. Okay. And soon enough, before the sun even rises, you make your way back to the familiar territory around Miniry. And it is a welcome sight at this point to see the gentle rivers, the silent canals, and the beautiful sort of area composed in Othello's image. And do you want to go straight to bed, or is there anything else you would like to do?
No, I have to spread a lie because no one else will.
Okay.
That's what I have to do.
Oh, so
Alright.
are you like immediately like typing up papers and things like that?
Oh yeah, no, I'm bringing it there myself. No one else wants to.
Please make a I forget what it is, but lockpicking test to break into the. Oh, you have a key. What am I talking about? Of course, you have a key. Yeah. To break into the printing press just underneath Jun's home. You do so. Light a lamp. Quick, get to work. Let's get a stamina test from you as well, Rami.
That's completely fair. I'm going to die by lying, and that's the way it should be. This is the way I should go.
Oh goodness. In the meantime. Oh no.
Oh no, Rami, that's a 2! How did you roll a 2?
I think I collapsed just like on the
I
ground.
do. I think you just got like the ink primed, and that is the moment where just the day's events catch up to you, and just boom. And in the morning, when we get to it, you'll wake up with just a bunch of letters across your face.
Oh my gosh.
So Rami collapses. Micah, when you return to Miniry, Urza is obviously quite tired at this point too, and she says, "All right, I might just stick around here for a little bit. Not in the town, just outside it. I don't need any of this fancy stuff."
And then I'll head back to Backshaw. Do you want to come with me? Should I wait for you in the morning?
No, it's okay. I actually have something to do here, but I'll definitely come check it out and come visit sometime. You guys seem really good.
Yeah. It was a pleasure meeting you. And she kind of holds out a big, meaty arm for you to grab onto.
Yeah.
And yeah, she departs. What's your immediate thing that you do, Micah? Do you head to bed, or is there anything else?
I need to drop Val off.
Right. Val, who has been unconscious a worrying amount of time, so you can
Yes.
quickly take her over to Shauna at the temple, and she will see like, oh, this is really, really bad. And Hannah kind of sees her mother in the state, and that's a little bit concerning for her as well. But Shauna makes the assurances and says, "Don't worry, we'll get her better. She just needs some rest." And at this point, you know, Val is sort of murmuring and moving around. She is just completely mentally and physically drained.
Okay, yeah, no, she's just tired. Don't worry, Hannah. She was really cool today. We fought an ogre. I'll tell you all about the story sometime.
Another one? Did you punch that one too?
No.
Flashback.
just a blank stare of someone who lived through too much. No,
you
I
just,
did
you just
not.
quietly turn around and leave. But Shauna just like immediately just, like applies healing magic to Val, which instantly helps her out, so she'll be fine. And once you can confirm that, you can head off. Do you do anything else, Micah? Or are you heading to bed?
No, well, before we do anything, are we all on the same page of... So we're not trying to pull off this lie, or we are trying to pull off this lie?
Don't think
know.
you're on the same page.
I don't know what we're doing.
If you would like, you can discuss it
like,
more.
look, because here's the thing, right? If we want to, like, go for the lie, we literally just, like, knock this guy unconscious and, like, chuck him in the wheel tonight while Esmira, while Esmira, right? Is that her name?
Esmira, yeah.
Yes, while Esmira is not looking.
Oh, okay.
Right? I mean, if
so,
we're, like, gunning for
Well,
it.
hold on.
Yeah.
This is good. If you're gonna talk about this, let's do it in character.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to do it in the newsroom? Can we all be in the newsroom
Well,
before I passed out?
I think you've already passed that. We'll say this is just like as you're coming into Miniry, just like before you
Okay.
break away
Just,
to
like,
your
in
own
the-
Oh,
place.
okay, sorry. So, yeah,
Okay.
so... I mean... Yeah, that's a thing. We can... I mean, I can just go in right now and, you know,
And Blue can contact our friend who said he would handle him before.
I
Right.
don't know if that's like the best idea though. Like maybe he can be helped.
Maybe
but
he
also
can be
he's
helped.
a monster.
He's
I'm not
he's a
sure where I
monster.
sit on
I
this.
don't know if he's too far gone. He showed no remorse at all. Killing. He just seemed interested in power. I don't think he even realizes that you guys are people and just look a
No,
little
he
different.
completely realizes it, but doesn't care, which makes it even worse.
I think that, would have been great if we just told everyone he was dead, and then we could enact whatever justice system they wanted while everyone believed he was dead, but that can't be a thing. So you know what? Yeah, I'm here for the even if we kill him, even if we drag him to the Weald, the story is still out, though, that they believe we took him back to Miniry, and that's a problem.
But I can see what Esmer means about not starting this with a lie. I know I was for it before, but now it just seems wrong.
It's not wrong. What's wrong is that no one backed me up. If we had all worked on this together, it would have been fine. I gave you the perfect setup, and instead of using it, we're shredding it apart, and now we're making everything worse for Miniry, and I don't understand that. I don't understand how anyone who cares about this town would purposely do something that endangers it like this.
I don't know. Maybe let's just hold off, talk with the council, let Val share her input. She's usually pretty
It's
good
already
with these
too
types
late.
of things.
That's the thing. They can send people who can be there faster than we can now. We lost our hours that we had of head start by traveling here. If we interact him in the Weald, at least we have the body to prove that he's dead. That is something. That is some sort of proof that we can use to argue with. It is killing a person, which, I was trying to avoid. But how I see it is we've no other choice now. I'm team kill.
Oh,
Well, if we've already lost the opportunity for time, I see no reason just waiting for the council to join.
That's fine.
okay.
Yeah? Okay.
I mean, the only thing I can see keeping him alive is just using as a bartering chip because killing someone is pretty permanent. You know?
No,
Or
it's very
reforming
permanent.
him. But remember, they're sending someone out to collect him so that he can try and be reformed. Or figure out if he's maybe corrupted or if there's some deeper meaning to how messed up he is.
Yeah. I'm banking on the fact of him having a true heartfelt reform.
I mean, here's the thing though. If they're coming out here and they don't find anything, that doesn't put us in good graces with, the rest of this country. So,
I mean, we can make excuses for that. He ran off. He escaped. So sad the beast got to him before you could catch up, Micah. So sad.
I mean, I'm not that incapable, but I see what you mean.
Well, we can make it one of your other guards. Who's the slowest?
Remy, you get a sudden ping in your mind. There is somebody trying to contact you via psychic contact.
I hate everything and must go now. I
It's-
turn to Myra so I can answer it.
Oh, bye.
It's Caroline.
What? I answer.
Hello?
You
I
see,
don't. Caroline doesn't. This doesn't happen.
you see the ghostly form of Caroline appear, and it's been a long time since you've seen her at all. But she stands before you, regal, beautiful. Doesn't look like she's aged a day since you last saw her, and that was multiple years ago at this point. And she stands up very tall, looks at you with a kind smile, and she says to you, "Hello, Remy.
Caroline, it's an honor to see you.
I do apologize for the lateness of the hour in my contacting of you, but things are in motion and we are running short of time.
Mm.
I have a very important task for you, Remy.
Yes.
Can I count on you?"
Does she know my the name I'm using?
Yeah. Yeah, she gets
Okay,
reports
so-
from.
She gets reports, so that's what she's like. Okay. Of course. What do you need?
She says, I need you to ensure that any possibility of peace is eradicated in this area. I need these people to be at each other's throats, and I need them to not be kind to one another. Do you understand?
Why though? I thought we were trying to make things better, right? How
Oh,
is...
Remy, everything we do makes everything better. I've been working very hard at doing this. And I'm
course.
sure you understand that sometimes you have to do something not so nice to ensure that the greater good flourishes.
Right. And obviously you know much more about how that works than I do. I couldn't even begin to understand the scope of your plan. Is there any way we can keep everyone else in their throat but just leave Miniry out of it? Would that be alright if I find that kind of angle?
She, at this point, has been very, she hasn't been paying a whole lot of attention to you. You saying that kind of makes her turn her head ever so slightly and look at you kind of quite deeply in the eyes. And there's something very, exposing about the way she looks at you. And she says, "It seems that Bates never did drive in the lesson for you that emotional attachments are only going to make things worse. I assumed that the problem with Isolde was your lesson, but apparently it didn't take. I will have words with Bates, don't you worry."
No, it's not that. I don't care about them. They're actually extraordinarily stupid and annoying me. They all act with their own reasons, and they all fight, and they don't actually know how to work as a group.
Calm. Focus.
It's just, if everyone in Miniry dies, it'll be harder for me to leave. So I was trying to preserve my own self-interest to make sure that I could complete your goals in the future as well. I don't care about Miniry, and I need to roll deception now.
Okay.
Oh, she cares!
This is the big one. So let's roll for.
Oh dear.
I'm real scared right now. I'm gonna
only
do
a
my
13.
reroll. I'm gonna
Okay.
do my reroll because
So you can
I
reroll
have
that one?
No, I
Okay.
can reroll my whole deception.
Oh,
I
that's
have-
right, because you're so good at it.
Yes.
Oh, that's an 18!
Okay. Would you
18.
also like conviction on top of that to reroll one of those?
I think I will. That too
Okay.
can go.
Do you want to reroll the two? I will roll for Caroline, and she's pretty good.
No, this is gonna go bad.
This is literally the first time anybody has even threatened you when it comes to deception. Nobody's even got close.
6. Okay.
Oh! And that's going to be 6 stunt points as well. So
Okay, wonderful.
that's a new total of 22.
Okay.
okay. And I've rolled for Caroline.
Let's see what I can do with my set points.
Sweet Caroline! I am so scared.
Sway the crowd, maybe? You affect one additional. No, that's.
Knock her prone. Knock her prone.
Knock her prone. Knock her mentally prone.
Flirt.
The vapors.
That you make an additional test as part of your action before.
You can flirt with her.
What?
Yes.
No! Ew, okay, you don't understand. She gave me birthday presents when I was like 7. Like,
Exciting opportunities. I don't know.
Or Tower of Will. +1 bonus to when
Ooh.
they use your
Uh-huh.
emotional
yes,
potential
Tower of Will
disadvantage.
sounds really good. Let's go with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, let's do that.
So does that basically mean any emotional blackmail you get a bonus against?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, well, that may come up. So sounds good. Let me double check. +1 to any emotional disadvantage. Okay, it's fair to say that you're probably always at emotional disadvantage with Caroline, so we'll just say +1.
But you get a
all day.
+1.
Ooh.
And we can carry us over to another exchange with her as well if we need to. But yes, you say that, and there's just this moment of just utter silence between you two. And she's sort of just like looking at you. She leans back a little bit. You find it excruciatingly hard to determine, is she seeing through what you're saying, or does she buy it? And she says, just ensure that for any of the people nearby, that things don't go well. Have them at each other's throats. Your town, it can go either way.
I can do that.
And I trust that the reason you would want to keep this town safe is that you see a potential use for it later on down
Of
the line.
course, I think this town could be instrumental to you and getting our goals.
Oh, Rami, I wish I could share with you my goals, but I am so thrilled that you share my vision.
Always.
When she says vision, by the way, that does remind me, you can use second sight at any time you want, if you ever wanted to do that now or in the past. Otherwise,
Okay. I don't think I've really had too much like magic-y stuff at the last moment.
sure.
Unless I wanted to be like, is Blue talking to us, Mir? Well,
Yes.
you are, Blue.
So Caroline says to you, time is a factor. So do what you do.
It'll be done.
And with that, Caroline's form disappears. And that is where we'll end tonight's session, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us for an emotional roller coaster
We're alive!
of an episode. You're alive.
Didn't go to the newspaper
Um,
room then, though. That didn't happen.
You didn't go to the newspaper room?
No, not after Caroline's like, hey,
Okay.
cause chaos.
Sounds good. You would have just, yeah, sounds good. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. We'll be here same time next week. Our music is by Windswept.
spelt Vind Svept. They're on YouTube. They're everywhere. Check them out. They got amazing songs, amazing tracks that we use with their permission, and it is truly wonderful. Go check them out. Our artist is
Hansel Eldor.
Hansel Eldor. Thank you.
Hansel Eldor.
A name I always forget. They have beautiful art. If you see during our break, all the character art there is done by him. Amazing watercolors. Please check them out.
And Val, right there, who's gone.
Oh, yeah.
And Val, right
Wherever she is.
there.
Opposite way,
There.
opposite ways. Oh, oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Really beautiful, really wonderful to work with. All bits and subs, etc., are going towards the Trevor Project and the Bale Project for this month. So please spread some love, show some support. We'd really appreciate it. Join the Chromatic Chimera Discord if you want to hang out with us and chat with us, or with the Chromatic Chimera community. They're beautiful, wonderful people. And that's about it from me. Anybody else got anything?
I can do Katie's pitch
Yeah,
that she normally
I was
does.
gonna say Katie's
Yeah.
thing, but you go
Yes.
for it.
You
You're
do
much
it. You
better
do
at
it great.
talking.
I know you
No,
do.
it's
You're
fine.
better at talking.
Oh
How
my
dare
God.
you?
So support your local libraries. They are having summer reading summer reading programs, and they range from kids, teenagers to adults. So go to your library, read a book, get into it. It's gonna be great. There's
Get
another thing
educated,
that she says.
motherfuckers.
Respect your staff, respect your
Yes,
books, respect
that,
your
respect
libraries.
everyone.
Yes,
Just
facts.
be respectful.
It's good.
Yes,
Books.
Books.
we
They're
support
good.
books.
We support books.
Yeah, Rami
Yes.
doesn't, but we do.
Well, to be fair, Aya doesn't mind books. It's just Ram.
Also, is that the first time we're hearing her name? Her
Yes.
like.
Yeah.
You have technically heard Aya's name at this point, yes.
Yeah, you heard her name.
Ooh.
Exciting! Things are
Oh,
happening.
God. I am so glad Val wasn't here, because Val would not have just let me off with, I want to talk about it later.
I know, we're so chill with it. We're like, whatever.
Like, sure,
yeah.
totally. You grew up in Kern, whatever.
Any other last things people need to say before we go?
Nope.
No.
Alright.
All right.
no, I think we're
Thank
good.
you again, everybody, for joining us.
Thank
We'll be
you.
back next time.
It's
See what happens. We have 2 episodes left, and things are heating up.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens. Thank you all so much. Thank you, my amazing players. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.